You know, I know many of you come here because you probably think I'm happy on what happened last night. I'm not happy. We just kept pointing these things out to you in the exhibition season and in the off season on what your team was going to look like. And everything that happened that I thought would happen happened last night, as we always do. We start the show off with big sales, 4 hours of power with our friends at BetUS. We appreciate them, and we appreciate you. I want to start this off by doing this. In the last couple months of last year and going into this year, do you realize that the Philadelphia Eagles in the last 10 games are 3-7? I mean, you're trending down. You're not trending up. That looked like 2023 to me yesterday. That was 2023. What's different? Oh, wait, your defense is worse. I know people are like, well, no, Howie Roseman's fault. That football team was constructed poorly. The 3rd and 3 was a horrible call, and I 1,000% disagree with John McMullen, and I'll tell you why. Do you realize the position with 1:34 left since 2016, that what the Falcons did last night had a 0.07 percentage chance of succeeding with the amount of yardage they had? What do you think that would have been if you had run the clock off more and gave them 57 seconds left in the game? There's a whole different play, and maybe Vic brings more pressure with less than a minute. Let's do something here as well. Folks, before we even get into my total takeaways here in the numbers, what is the one egregious thing that could not happen at the end of the game there for the Eagles when it was 3rd and 3? We're talking risk reward here. What was the number one thing that could not happen? Anybody? What was the one thing that could not happen? One thing that you could not have happen. Not the drop. There you go, Bruce. The clock stopping. CJ, the clock stoppage. Look, do you know what running back has the most drops since he came into the league? It's Saquon Barkley. The risk reward in that moment doesn't constitute the play. Run the ball. Run the ball. Let's do something else too. And by the way, that is on the head coach. Angelo Cataldi will be with us at 5:30 today. Okay? Look at C24. 10-1 is old news. In the last 10 games, you've won 2. 2. 2. 2 games, dude. How about this one? At the end of the game, when Jalen Hurts threw that pass down the sidelines for an interception, what would Tom Brady have done? He would have got the 15, 16 yards and gave Adam Vinatieri an opportunity at kicking a game winner, like he did in the Super Bowl versus the Rams, right? Why are you throwing the foot? Do you know what? Here's a stat for you. Xander, how about this one? How about this one here? Do you understand that what they did last night, Jalen Hurts did not have a completed pass of 20 or more yards the entire night because of A.J. Brown. It's 3rd and 3. Hey, Xander, can you throw that super chat down, please? I appreciate it. Thank you. It's 3rd and 3, run the ball. That's 40 seconds off the clock. Absolutely. It's egregious. By the way, I said this on the postgame show last night. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous of a call. Ridiculous of a call. We did it on the postgame show last night. I completely disagreed with John. And you don't have your playmaker. By the way, I have never seen a football team fall to pieces when you have one player off your football team. One player off your football team. Xander, I missed the super chat. Less than 2 minutes with the lead. Eagles are 4-7. I got a stat on that one too a little bit later. Still, should we start looking for a quarterback? Absolutely not. Kellen and Vic's fault for this game. No plays to open receivers while Jalen had to rub and no pressure to D-line. We're going to get to all of this. Dude, Barkley gets blamed. Of course, execution is part of it. Okay? Okay? This is what makes Joe Ho a dumbass. Sills, ain't you happy we fucking lost? Going to lose our next 2 games. 1 and 3 coming. How you doing? Not happy about that. Why would I be happy about that? I want to cover a winner, not a loser. Joe Ho, why would I be happy about that? Absolute ass backwards thinking. Then I would be praying for that. By the way, I can't wait to get into my takeaways here. Just brutal. How about this one, too? I got a stat here for you. And this is under Nick Sirianni. By the way, that's Sirianni's call. That's Sirianni's call at the end of the day. Okay? That's his call on whether or not to go for it or not. I mean, where's that number here? They've absolutely gagged football games. The last 2 minutes of the last 6 games, they've lost 3 of them. Let's get to the takeaways. I mean, that's on coaching and shitty players on defense. Shit players. Really. Did you see how he's sitting on the sideline when he thought he had another win? That defense was so terrible. Do you realize you have a bottom 3 defense right now? I've been telling you that the entire offseason. That football team is constructed poorly. There's not a chance in hell you're a Super Bowl contending team. Hey, let me say this to you. How many people, Xander, you too, how many people check this as a win on the Eagles' schedule, beating the Falcons? It's an NFC team too, right? How many people, what would you say? 97% of the people believe that the Eagles would win that game? Right? This was a game you thought you were going to blow out. Craig Carton came on the program yesterday, said this won't be competitive. I was like, well, I didn't see it that way. How many people believe that you were going to win that game? And you thought pretty handily. Not so fast. By the way, will somebody please control Nick Sirianni on the sidelines? I mean, honest to God, running down the sidelines on Gardner Johnson. Gardner Johnson, once again, was absolutely hit or miss. He gives up a 46-yarder, has a nice play. How am I supposed to look at that? Say he's good? He gave up a 46-yard touchdown. And he had a nice hit. Xander, the no-holes defense train is broken down at 30th Street, out of business. Let's get to the takeaways. Then we'll get to the numbers. Minute 34 left in a football game. I blame Howie Roseman, number one, and most importantly, for constructing that awful defense. That's on him. A scheme? John McMullen's right. Think about this for a second. I want you to think about what John McMullen said, and he said it again on Birds 365. I'm sick and tired of people. Correct me if I'm wrong, Xander. I'm sick and tired of people blaming coaching. Well, John, are you going to blame the guy who constructed the defense that brought those players in? If you're not going to blame the coaches, John, are you going to blame Howie? If it's not coaches and it's players, those are shit players. Which is it? Old man Slay cooked. Yeah, and then he was sitting there fraternizing at the end of the game, blowing some guy from the Falcons. Xander, I missed the super chat behind Nick here, please. Okay? So, I mean, at the end of the day here, Howie Roseman, we said this all offseason, has constructed this football team poorly. Let's get to Bryce Huff. Do you know how many hits on the quarterback Bryce Huff has in 2 games? The same number on his jersey. 0. Goose egg. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis with a second consecutive horrible night. 2 horrible nights in a row. Jordan Davis, as of right now, is not living up to the 13th pick in the draft. Hey, Nick, when you're not scoring a lot of points and you're not in a battle where you're scoring enough points, do me a favor. Kick the fucking field goals. This looks like 2023 all over again. Nothing's changed. How about our $50 million edge rusher? Huff is trash. What did I tell you about him all offseason? He had 480 reps as a Jet. Do you know the majority of those 10 sacks came in one fucking game? He was a liability on the field last night. Against the run, he was brutal. That wide receiver room, remember what I said yesterday? And when we had Xander on, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, and Paris Campbell are not going to win that game. That's not frightening me. Sills and Flex warned y'all. Sills told us the Eagles were going 14-3. I said you're going 9-8. I never said anything about fucking 14 wins. That's a fucking lie. Who in the world ever thought that that team was a 14-win team and it ain't Dan Sileo? You drunk guy. Get this. This guy says I'm a hater. No, I'm a fucking truth teller. That's what I am, dog. A truth teller. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. You guys have absolutely been great the last couple days. Wide receiver room stinks when AJ's not on the field. Stinks. Hey, I know that a lot of people think that AJ Brown, or excuse me, Devontae Smith is the number one receiver, and he could be a number one receiver on another team. In my opinion, no, he's not. He's not AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, or any of them guys. He's a really good player, and I like the player. But every game almost that he's been in the game, his last two games, he's lost when AJ's not on the field. What did he step up to? And becomes predictable again. Let's do this. How many targets? You want to hear something about Jahan Dotson? He ran 25 pass routes last night. Do you know how many catches he had? I think he had one. Sills, thanks for your dose of reality. All day, apologists don't get the context. Offense must prioritize time of possession and keep the inept defense off the field. Any risk offense choices fail. That's right. You gave an experienced quarterback time. And guess what he did? Kirk fucking Cousins beat you with a minute 34. With a minute 34, Kirk Cousins beat you. A guy who struggles in prime time. Really? All around terrible last night. We should have won by double digits. Dumb coaching, sluggish defense, sluggish. Stupid penalties. I can't believe I had hope. I text messaged Raheem and congratulated him. I'm happy for the man. He's a friend. Kept his poise, kept his patience. I said, hey, man, what was the number one thing that you knew in that game last night that kept you guys in that thing? He goes, there's no way that they were not going to stop Kirk Cousins with 2 minutes left in the game. And you know what Cousins did? You know what he said? They targeted Quinyon Mitchell, the rookie. Cousins went to the sidelines and targeted Mitchell. Sills, I swear, I'll never understand why we do not use Dallas Goedert. We'll get to him in a minute. Huff and Smith have till the bye week. Bench both. By the way, Super Chats, thank you. Vic Fangio brought no pressure. And when he did, he got burned on it. Then he never did it again. Gardner Johnson got burned when they brought pressure. So he never went back to it. He doesn't believe he has the personnel to do it. Gardner Johnson got burned on a 46-yard TD. And they never brought it again. Never brought it again. Hit the like button, please. Jacoby Dean can't cover shit. That's the best you have? Then you don't have. Dallas Goedert's overrated. Enough. Either you fucking can't use him, he's hurt. I mean, Jalen Hurts is a one-dimensional quarterback. One-dimensional. 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 Devontae, 26 yards with 6 catches to Covey meant nothing. Meant nothing. Why play prevent defense with crappy corners that can't close, no pressure with the front four? Guys, I want to show you something in here. Do me a favor. Try to stay focused on what happened last night. Get mad at me in here? Some of you? What the fuck do I have to do with a colossal meltdown last night? And if no one thinks it's a colossal meltdown, I saw colossal meltdowns all last year. Nothing's changed. Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me for being fucking right. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at me all you want. Your team's the one that laid an egg last night. Not me. Not me. I'm the one that didn't have shitty play calling. I'm not the one who didn't show up in critical situations. I'm not the one getting blown off the ball like Bryce Huff. I'm not the one who is getting murdered like Jordan Davis. Seals, can you please stop? The NFL is like the WWE. It's about shock value, about upsets, to try to have parity in the league. Absolutely try to have parity in the league. That's why they have salary caps. That's why the draft is set up the way it is. Thanking Howie for the third rounder, Dotson. Hey, dude, holy shit. I see why Washington hated him. That guy is terrible. Cam Jurgens. I'm going to show you something here, Cam Jurgens. Try to help you out here. You know what that is? It's called the line of scrimmage. Learn it. Might help you. Defense getting a ton of blame, but at the end of the day, held them to 15 points before the last drive. This is on the offense. They have enough talent. Really? I didn't see any talent last night. I didn't see any talent. Did you? Where? Who was talented last night? Who was a talented player? Hey, one more time. Cam Jurgens. It's called the line of scrimmage. Learn it. Might help you, kid. Might help you. Say what you want about Chip Kelly. At least the teams didn't choke away games. Nick is always unprepared. Fuck this team. I'm now a free agent fan. Bryce Huff is a complete liability on your football team. Completely. He is not capable of playing three down. You want a situational pass rush him, that's one thing. But if you want to play him as a three-down guy, he is atrocious. No wonder Vic kept killing him the entire offseason. Killing him. Let me ask you something here also. He can't even situate. Hey, Xander's right. Xander will join us, by the way, co-host of Birds 365 at 3:30 too, as always. You're right. He can't even situational pass rush. $51 million and $17.8 million for what? Thanks, Howie. Hate to say it, but Acho was right. We have a Howie and Fangio issue. How we missed on our D-line. Vic depends on rushing 4. We need to make a move. Xander, I have one behind this one here, if you could post it too. Guys, please, all super chats go to the top. I appreciate it here. Seals, I always thought you were just hating on the Eagles, but you were right the whole time. This Eagles team is not that good. Trash D-line, and it's a trash D-line we have. There we go. Howie goes after names and not fit. Amen. By the way, Vic Fangio scheme, You knew what the fuck he did. Hey, I want you to think about something. How many years has Vic Fangio been in the NFL? If you're Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie. How many years? 45? You knew what he does. Why didn't you get the personnel to fit it? Why didn't you get the personnel to fit it? Remember what Dave Wannstedt said on this show? You're not going to fail because of scheme. You're going to fail because the players aren't good enough. And that's exactly what I've been telling you. Howie can't pick defensive guys. Now everyone around the country's picking it up. Been saying it to you for 4 years. Sills, last night's game put a spotlight on every issue this team has. At the top of the list is lack of talent on D, married to a DC who runs his system no matter what. It's a complete mismatch. Vets blew a gasket last night. Absolutely. Xander, I missed one after Abe. Thank you guys for the super chats. Please hit the like button. We appreciate it. Kimberly, thank you so much. Thank you. Hey, let me ask you a question here. And I know some of you won't want to give Big Sills credit here for this, but remember I told you to draft Bijan Robinson with the, what was it? The 5th pick or 7th pick, whatever it was. Then he moved up. Make sure you get Robinson. If you had to do it all over again, would you take Bijan Robinson or would you take Jalen Carter? That kid is a ball player. Did you see him knock out Nolan Smith last night? I thought he knocked Nolan Smith's teeth out. Just on a chip block. That kid runs hard. He is a great football player. You'd rather have Carter, who has been a dud for 14 games, okay? I'll tell you something. That kid last night, and that offensive line for Atlanta dominated the Eagle front. Your 2 first-rounders were dominated. Dominated. Plain and simple. Dominated. Some people thought they'd have an advantage inside. They were dominated. 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 I told you the Falcons had one of the top 5 O-lines. Well, that was on display. No pressure and knocked your ass off the ball. Do you realize you've given up over 300 yards in rushing the last 2 games? It's a microcosm of what happened the last 13 games last year. Nothing's been fixed. Penalties. Get to the numbers here in a minute. I mean, discipline. Where was it? Offensive guys downfield. Do you know what you're doing? Hurts became predictable again. One guy. Bullshitter to Covey. Couple things to Goddard. The rest of it was trying to get to Devontae Smith. And really, it was a lame offensive attack. Barkley was your guy. Stills, would you take Carter over Robinson? Probably not. 3 days ago, I'd say never. Today, I'm saying probably not. You know, that Bijan Robinson kid might lead the NFL in rushing. He might be a 2,000 K guy, total yards this year. I don't know. Hurts playing hero ball at the end of the game. Howie set us back due to ego. He treats people as replaceable. We know he shouldn't let certain people go. He always does. And we pay for it, especially on that side of the football. Especially on that side of the football. Guys, please hit the like button. I mean, I'm sorry, but the coaching was questionable. John McMullen wants to blame the players. Who fucking put the players on the roster? You're blaming incompetent players or lack of talent players on making plays. Now, Barkley's play? Absolutely. He dropped the ball. But you know what you do as a coach? Don't put a guy who drops the ball half the time in a position like that. Play the percentages. Do you know that that's how New England operated their entire 24-year dynasty? They played percentages. For an organization that loves analytics, you surely got away from one. You surely got away from it. This right here is preposterous. Bringing Reddick back? Seth Joyner knows better than that. That means Howie has to admit to a failure. He's not doing that. And he's not paying the guy and then realizing it, going to his owner going, I fucked up on Bryce Huff. Does that sound like a Howie Roseman move? Hey, Jeff, you know that $51 million I just gave to Bryce Huff? Hey, at the end of the day, you know what I'm going to do? We're gonna eat that, and then we're going to go pay another $70 to bring back Reddick. Really? You think that's what he does? Okay. What a stupid take that is by Seth Joyner. We're losing against the Saints and Bucks. Bill will end up as the head coach soon after. Piss poor coaching decisions last night. Xander, I missed the super chat after N91. Thank you guys again for these super chats. Howie set us back due to ego. Okay, I got this one. Should have kept the hot hand. Run the damn ball. Q, amen. That's a stupid-ass take by Joyner. He knows better than that. Howie is not going to admit to a financial failure and a personnel failure all in one. Really? Wait a minute. I want to show you how dumb that Seth Joyner take is. He first has to admit that he fucked up on Nolan Smith to replace Reddick in the draft. Check. Then he's got to turn around and admit to Laurie that he fucked up on Bryce Huff. Check. Then he's got to turn around and admit first time he fucked up on Reddick. You think Howie Roseman's going to walk in to the owner of the Eagles and go, all these F marks, check marks that I failed in, I want you to bring them back for $75 million. I screwed up the draft. I screwed up Reddick. I screwed up Huff. Let's bring them back. Come on, man. Act like you know the Eagles. I've only been covering your team for 4 years, and I know better. What do you think he's on the sidelines for? He's going to take another victory lap like the Green Bay game. Instead, he got his ass kicked. Going to make a take? At least make an educated one. Let's get to the numbers here. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like list. Like button. Whatever. It's aggravating. Watching a football team. You know what sucks? Can I tell you why I'm mad? You know why I'm mad? Because they didn't address what they needed to. You addressed it you thought you were going to fix your problems on defense with the draft and shit can guys and free agency. Saquon goes to Diddy parties. That guy ain't doing well right now. That's for damn sure. It's aggravating. It is, Bill. By the way, that dynamic that they have in the building with Sirianni and the coaching and all that is so demeaning to every coach in the NFL and to any coach who coaches anywhere. I don't even know what the fuck he's doing there. We're going to go over his presser after the game. Even Hurts, I thought Jalen wasn't awful. But Jesus criminy, what's that guy doing in the building? Hey, how's that preseason football working? First downs, 21 or 22-22. Okay? Jay, when will you have Mark Holmes on? One to bet. I don't know how much he's happy. He got his ass kicked too by New Orleans. How about this? New Orleans is the next opponent. And New Orleans just comes off beating the shit out of the Cowboys. And now next up is the Eagles. Can you imagine if New Orleans knocks out both Dallas and Philadelphia? You'd be talking about them as being one of the best teams in the NFC. Third down. Eagles weren't bad. 6-13. They're licking their chops watching this game tape. Absolutely. 14 drives they've had this year in New Orleans. Scored on every one of them. Falcons 2-9. Here's another crazy thing. Eagles once again have more plays than the opponent, 68-58. And yet the Falcons had more total yards, which means more yards per play. 385-365. Passing 179. Cousins 233. A ton of it came in that last drive, obviously. Rushing attempts. Birds 37. Okay. Falcons 28. Falcons, get this. You want to hear something crazy? The last two games, the Eagles have given up 6.5 yards a rush against Green Bay and 5.5 yards per rush against the Falcons. Where are your D tackles? You can't set the edge. 99. They say players take on the personality of the head coach. They're playing like trash for a competitive advantage. Can't let teams know they can be good. That's right. You kept them in the ball game. I told you Atlanta wanted to make that 99. Atlanta wanted to make that a fourth quarter game. Here's a good question. Sills, how does Davis and Carter out of shape as professionals? Great question. What's the accountability with them fat asses? We got to make it at least 2-2. 2-2. Well, that's what I had you, 2-2 by the bye week. I had you 2-2. You're losing either the Bucs or Saints. You might lose to both. Can you imagine if the Eagles are 3? Heading into the bye? Penalties, 9 for 53. Try to be disciplined. Falcons, 3 for 40 yards. Look at the time of possession you had. You had the ball 36 minutes to 24 minutes with the Falcons, and they beat you. Shit. If it wasn't for the shit field position they had in the first half, I think they'd have beat you by 10. Here's the milk carton, guys. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Give me a heads up on where we are on the likes right now. Love to hear it. We're going to get to all these questions, Spin. And we're going to get to you guys here in a minute and your complaints about last night. I'm just going to give you my takeaways. Okay? And then we'll get to your take, and then we'll get to your comments and complaints. 145. Guys, let's see if we get to 200 by the top of the hour. Thank you, Brian. Milk carton number 1. Missing person. We're going to send out an Eagle alert. These are players that, like an Amber alert. Call Howie Roseman over at the NovaCare Center because we haven't seen this person and we're a little bit nervous. And hopefully somebody has spotted him. Bryce Huff is fucking terrible. There's no two ways about it. Jordan Davis was terrible. There's no two ways about it. Nolan Smith is a bust. Jahan Dotson is a waste of a third-round pick. Jalen Carter, man, please don't disappoint me. Please don't disappoint me. I'm not there yet, but boy, I'm getting there. Hey, Reed Blankenship, what I would do if I were you, I would get that tape from the Green Bay game and carry it in my cell phone for the rest of my NFL career. Because how well you played in that Green Bay game, you blew out loud in the Falcon game. You want to show your kids that tape because the game you played last night, you were atrocious. Dude, wide receiver 3. Eagles play with 10 versus 11 every game. And Dallas Goedert, it's time to move on from him. I'm finished. He's overrated. He's overrated and underused. Why you're paying $15 million to that guy? But then again, you got a bunch of guys on that football team. I would never pay Gardner Johnson $8 million. I would never. By the way, Barkley deserves it. Barkley deserves it. Gardner Johnson? No way. No way in the world am I paying that guy $8 million. Dude gave up a 46-yard touchdown because he was out of fucking position again. Oh, but him and Sirianni were sucking face down on the sidelines. And Nick goes past the 20. I'm surprised the refs didn't call a penalty on that because that is a penalty going past the 20. And there he is down there, grab ass. Dude, that guy is so immature as a coach. It is mind-numbing how poor of a character coach he is. Let's get to the players. Cousins, 20 of 29, 241, 2 touchdowns. Quarterback rating, 117.2. For a guy with a bad Achilles, you brought no pressure, really. Jalen Hurts, 23 of 30, 183, 88.6. 13 carries, 85 yards, 1 touchdown. My assessment on Hurts' night. He was okay. I saw 22 for the first time. He had to play 22. He wasn't going to win throwing the ball. One more time to you guys. That quarterback is not good enough to win you games from the pocket. Stop pretending that he is. When Hurts runs and throws, he can beat you. But to think that that guy is a pocket passer and the only way that guy is a good player is when A.J. Brown is on the field in the passing game. And when he's not on the field, he's average at best. Deal with it. He's average. Average at best. When he runs around like that and he gives you glimpses of 22, that's the Jalen Hurts that's going to strike fear when he runs like that. Jalen Hurts last night played a good game with his wheels, not his arm. There were still missed throws last night. Barkley was great. Saquon Barkley has been more than advertised to me. Hey, Dio, we're going to get to all your takes. I promise you here in a second. I know you guys. I see you guys posting. I promise. As soon as I get done here. I would never let you not vent. Bijan, 14 carries, 97 yards, 25 yards through the air with 4 catches. This guy's a fucking ball player. He is really tough. I didn't realize, because I thought, again, I watched him at Texas. I knew he was good, but I didn't know he was that good. He's a great-looking player. Barkley is as advertised. 22 carries, 95 yards, tough runner. Massive workload in the first 2 weeks of the season. I mean, I thought he was sensational again last night. Drop pass, obviously, will dent that performance last night. Devontae Smith, 7 catches, 76 yards, 10 yards a catch. Okay, I mean, I guess. Covey, 6 catches for 23 yards. I mean, what the hell is that, actually? What's that, 5, 6 yards a catch? What's that in the impact of a game? Nothing. Like check down city. RPO throws. That's a non-impact stat line. You could erase that. It wouldn't have been anything. Hey, you really like throwing to Covey. 6 catches for 23 yards? What were you doing, playing catch with him? Drake London, 54, and he was, get this, I said that guy wouldn't beat you. Well, he did in the end. Dude, what was Slay thinking in the corner back there? You know what Slay was doing? He was watching the quarterback and not watching the football in his keys, and he got beat. Actually, he got smoked. Who's Darnell Mooney? Who the fuck is that? Darnell Mooney owned the secondary all night? This guy's not even an elite wide receiver. Who's Darnell Mooney? Honestly, who's Darnell Mooney? I've never heard of him. Darnell Mooney? You wanted more checkdown, Sills? Yeah. When AJ's on the field? Yes. Okay. There's nothing wrong with checkdowns. That game was really not on Hurts. That game was on situational play calling. The ability of him to run kept Jalen's ability to run kept you in that game last night. And nothing to do with checkdowns. Britton Covey. He's now, get this, you're throwing to not, well, then again, you didn't have enough money out there. So you threw not to the money guy, Goddard, but you threw to Britton Covey? Think about that for a minute. You got a $15 million tight end. How many catches did Goddard have last night in the game? How many catches did he have versus Britton Covey, who's like a special teams guy? How many catches did Goddard have? He had 3 catches. So Britton Covey had more catches than a $15 million ball player. Throw to the money. We'll get to Sirianni's bullshit and Hurts' bullshit here in a minute. But I want to take some of your thoughts. And some of your complaints from last night. Mooney was drafted by Chicago. Okay, I remember now. Dan Sileo, do you think we can make a trade for a DE to help the run defense Who in the Panthers or Giants do you think we can get? This stuff should have been addressed in the offseason. You're going to try to paper mache it again. Since I had not seen Kellen Moore on the sidelines, I would have thought Brian Johnson had the clipboard. No personnel on defensive line to accommodate a proper defense for pressure. Absolutely true. You guys thought you were going to put a performance like the Steelers did against Atlanta? Remember I kept telling you? You're high if you think you're in the room with the Steelers as a defensive football team. You're a bottom 5 team. That's a bottom 5 defense. Bottom 5. I've been telling you this. That's a bottom 5 defense. So many opportunities to put it away, but this team can't get out of its own way. Never seen a team snatch defeat from the jaws of victory like they do. Hey, Crank, actually, you watched it last year, how a football team was shooting itself in the foot all year. You watched it all last year. Think about this one more time. That's a game you checked to win. You checked that to win. Sills, I'm not going to doubt you anymore. Jalen's below average. I didn't say below average. When he plays like that last night, I want you to listen to me carefully. He's a really good ball player. But is that good enough to win? Here, how about this? If Jalen plays like that against the New Orleans Saints this weekend, he'll lose. Plain and simple. Is that good enough to win a Super Bowl? We will never win a Super Bowl with Sirianni. It's very true. The Georgia boys and Huff are a disgrace. We're in for a long season. No leadership. And the owner wants this. Anthony, I do not believe the owner wants this. I think the owner thinks he knows better. Okay? I think he thinks he knows better than you. Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie are not football people. They work in the business. Howie Roseman is a glorified public accountant. He's a glorified CPA who can't pick defensive talent to save his ass. Name me one player you're happy with that he's drafted defensively in the last 5 years. Name me one. One. Quinyon Mitchell? Looks like it. That's this year. And there's still time to assess his game. Howie has to allow Pickett to compete. No way. Not, dude, the season is over then if you start that conversation. Okay? It's over. Name me one kid from Georgia you're happy with. Sills, it's concerning the drop-off with Hurts when AJ's not there. You think? Jalen Hurts doesn't elevate other players when AJ Brown's not on the field. That's evident. He does not elevate other players. Who? Did he elevate anybody in the playoff game? Did he elevate anybody in the Falcon game last night? Just asking. Sills, I disagree on Hurts. He floats passes. I never said he was a good pocket passer. He's late on passes. We know this. Too focused on AJ. Absolutely. Can't go through progressions. No question. He's broken. Never to be 2022 again. Well, that's the best he's looked, probably. That game last night was probably the best he's played for 4 quarters in a year and in 2 games. That's the best it's going to get. Now you put AJ on there, that dynamic changes. By the way, word is he could maybe miss 2 games coming up here. He might miss the Saints and the Bucks. Can you imagine losing 3 NFC games? Falcons, Saints, and Bucks. All 3 teams fighting for playoff spots now. You imagine that? I mean, you may not have him for the Saints and Bucks game. Who's picking up the mail? Seals, do you think a player like Sue could help and save our D-line? You need to get a run stopper in there. You need to get some run-stopping dudes in there. You can't stop the run. Do you understand something about not being able to stop the run is like having your hand tied behind your back? You're getting your face kicked in, and you can't do nothing about it. You can't do anything about it. Okay? Look at this dumbass take here. This guy thinks this is a 2-week issue. This has gone on for the last 3 months of football with that organization. You're trying to tell me you think that football team, that defensive team, is any different than last year's team after week 12? They looks like the same football team. How in the world? That's not a small sample size. Week 2? Get this. That guy C24 just said, it's only week 2. How many people in here think that your defense is going to get better and be a top 15 defense by week 12? Help me out on this. Help me out on this. What did you see last night that made you feel better about your defense? Give me one. Pathetic. Dude, you're not drafting a quarterback. You're into that guy for huge bags of money. You know what? Here, Dio's right. Hey, it's only week 2. It's only week 3. It's only week 4. It's only week 5. It's only... That sounds like a broken record of a year ago. I was the only one telling you sucked at 10-1. You didn't believe it. This is what the team is. Could Hurts start for any other contender? Is there anybody on the defense who'd start on another contender? It's scary. I'm trying to think. You think anybody on the Eagle D-line or Eagle defense could start in Kansas City? Do you? I don't. There's not one player on your defense that could start in Kansas City. Not one. And you got 3 first-rounders on it. It all started in the offseason, 22-23 with Howie. Yeah. You thought it was more important to extend the 2 receivers and build the team from the perimeter instead of building your defense back up again. Now, is that from the owner? Probably. We'll get Angelo Cataldi in at 5:30 Eastern. Sills, what week does Nick get fired? Absolutely no way. Senor, he ain't getting fired. Not a chance in hell. He's the perfect puppet. This guy's Geppetto. He's Geppetto. Let me get to Sirianni's bullshit. But I thought Howie's a genius. Hey, let me ask you something there. Tone, I know you're being facetious here. Tone, name me the one move on defense you're happy with in the last 3 years. Are you happy with letting TJ Edwards go? Skinny, you happy letting Kaiser White go? You want to hear something crazy? Screw TJ Edwards. You haven't even replaced Kaiser White yet. You haven't even replaced that guy. Tell you what, Arizona looks good. And he's on that ball team. And they beat the tar out of the Rams. Hey, do you think any of those defensive tackles are playing as good as Javon Hargrave did? I'm not saying you paid a guy $20 million, but has anybody lived up to that expectation? I'd rather we do bad early and be realistic, though, instead of like last year. Hopefully, it forces some changes. I can't give up hope. That's a great take, though. Preddy, that's a great take. You're right. But remember something. It's a great observation, actually. Look, if you suck right now and you get out of this into the bye at 2-2, I think that's okay. That's okay. If you're 2-2 heading into the bye, that's all right. I'll tell you why. That means you're surviving. That means you're trying to get better. And God willing, you're better by November and December. Like Kansas City was a year ago. Dude, that defense is a year and a half away from being decent. Not good. Decent. 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 What a conversation this was this morning, and I'm going to leave it private. I don't want to undress Clint. I can't, and I'm not. He asked me not to, and I'm not. These are my opinions. I want to make it clear. I said this to him. Dude, those two guys could never play at UM. Now with Cortez and Sapp and Jerome and them guys, Full Fork and them guys, never happened. Never happened. Never happened. Those guys are Hall of Famers. Never happened. Today's my birthday, but wanted to say we are not a contender at the moment. Happy birthday, brother. Our D-line is non-existent and has too much put into it for no production. Gardner Johnson getting paid to miss TD tackles. I'm with you. Here's Andrew. Thank you for the super chats, by the way. Guys, give me a number on the likes so far. I appreciate if you can give me an update. Sileo, do you think if we lose 3 in a row, Kellen Moore will be forced to revert Hurts to his 22 form? I think they were forced to do that last night without AJ. Can you imagine this? Tell me if you guys, and Xander's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. But guys, tell me if you thought you felt this. That when AJ wasn't on the field, the game plan that they went to on Sunday night, well, let him just play like 22. They kind of just went, well, let's play like 22. Because that's what it looked like. One target, running Hurts. The difference was you had Barkley running the ball. Didn't it look like they just went like this? Well, let's just have him play like he did when we gave him the bag of money. And you were like this. You know what? I was watching the game. I started saying this. Oh, there's Jalen. Holy shit. Like Rip Van Winkle. There he is. I can't believe it. I haven't seen him in a year and a half. Great question. I think the better question, though, is this. Why so many meaningless plays to Covey? Why so many meaningless plays? Kathy, penalties were stupid. How many pre-snap shit? And once again, some of you who just came in, I want to make sure we do this because Cam Jurgens, that's called a line of scrimmage. Learn it. Learn what a line of scrimmage is. I don't mind the money we're paying Hurts. I'm salty about him getting the no trade clause in his contract. Dude, Jalen is good enough to win games. What you saw with Hurts is what he is. He's better with players around him. He doesn't make players better around him. He doesn't. That's not what he does. 180 yards passing, 70 yards rushing. That's what it is. That's his ceiling. But you know when he looks better? When A.J. Brown's on the field. When you take A.J. Brown off the field, can you imagine if you took A.J.? What if Devontae Smith got hurt? Would this be fair to say? If Devontae Smith gets hurt, you're a 6-win team. Is that fair? Jesus criminy. You look like a 9-win team now without him, AJ. If you took Devontae off and you rolled out Jahan Dotson, Paris Campbell, and Britton Covey, that's a 6-win team. No. Here. No. Yell's wrong. Doesn't apply to all teams. Josh Allen has nobody. He's 2-0. No turnovers. Doesn't apply to Kansas City. That's no bearing on those teams. Do you understand? They're 2-0, and Allen has no turnovers. I can't name you a wide receiver in Kansas City, and they're not even playing well. Let's get to Nick. Guys, keep them coming. You guys are great. Thank you for the super chats. Damn Sills, we're in trouble. Jalen ain't the guy. He's too damn cool. He got his bread, got his endorsements, and now he doesn't care. That's not true. If Carson had these weapons, it would be a wrap. Wentz was twice the quarterback. I disagree with that. Hey, Berman, I appreciate that, but I disagree with that. Okay? I never, ever thought Jalen was going to be anything better than what you saw last night. And the only way he's going to be better if at the Eagles, and this is why they spent $200 million on the offense, is because of exactly last night. He's not going to lead you. Dude, it's the Falcons. Let's not sit here and pretend the Atlanta Falcons are world beaters. The Atlanta Falcons, really, with a 35-year-old immovable quarterback who can't move to save his life, you think that's a contender? For what? You know, people on the national level are saying Atlanta's better than Philly. Atlanta's better than Philly. You're in trouble. That's Atlanta. We're not talking about the 49ers here. It's the Atlanta. Hey, do me a favor. Will somebody do – I didn't write this number down. What was Kirk Cousins' completion percentage last night? against the vaunted no holes Swiss cheese defense of the Eagles. What was his completion percentage last night? Shooter goes, Atlanta's pretty good. They'll make the playoffs. Pretty good. They'll make the playoffs. Okay. I don't think anybody's sitting here saying they're getting to the Super Bowl. Here's what aggravates me, especially about that John McMullen take. If Saquon catches the ball, the conversation is entirely different. Reality, let's have a conversation on it. If he catches the ball, this is a reality league, not ifs, ands, or buts. The Ravens should be what? 2-0. The Steelers are undefeated. Okay? They're undefeated. Certain things should be a certain way. But this is a results league. That's what the NFL is. It's results. Here's Nick. I'm going to hang in there for a second. Hey, Sills, 32nd in league at yards per play given up on. Look at this. Holy cow. This is embarrassing. That's embarrassing. The Eagles are the worst team in the league in the first 2 weeks, half the quarter pole of the first half of the season. They're the worst defense per play in the league. Remember what Xander said about playing the young guys? Can't get any worse. It is. It is worse. You get the worst defense in pro football right now. Carolina's in this league. You're worse than Carolina? Man, I didn't think you'd be that low. The worst football team at the start of the season. And you got some people in here going, hey, it's only week 2. I mean, you're not even in the middle of the pack. I don't know what the reasoning was that Isaiah didn't play. Okay? I know this. The Falcons, they targeted Quinyon Mitchell in the final drive. That's what I was told. They targeted him. Now, the scheme didn't help him. Okay? The scheme didn't help him playing that far off the football. If they truly wanted to win, they would have ran 2 tush pushes to gain 3 yards. Easy win. Victor. Okay? Again, 30 minute. Here, let me show you this. Let me show you this number here. Get this. This is mind-numbing. Falcons had 0.7% chance of winning that game last night with 1:56 left. It was the 7th most improbable comeback win in the NFL since 2016. The chances of the Falcons winning that game was like 1,000,000,000 to 1. Players and coaching. John's right on half. Players. Howie Roseman, too. Okay, John, if it's not the players, then it's got to be the GM for putting shit talent on the defense and relying on youth. Isn't this what I've been telling you? You're relying on poor talent and youth. This isn't Cooper DeJean. This isn't Quinyon Mitchell issues. Those guys are going to be okay. The problem comes down to you missed on Smith. You missed on Huff. You missed on Davis. Carter yet to be determined. But you missed on those players. You missed on Dean. Shit, you know what? I'll take that back for a second. Nakobe's probably playing better than any of the Georgia guys right now. You hear me say that? Kind of wild, isn't it? Not that I think any of them are playing good. Here, get this. Since the Buffalo game. I want to give you some Jalen Hurts stats. 22 Eagles were either blowing their teams out or in close games. When we ran the ball, we kept it away from Hurts' mistakes. The last 2 years exposed Jalen Hurts. Amen. Thank you, Brian. Absolutely awesome take. Guys, please hit the like button. Jalen Hurts, since Buffalo, Eagles are 2-7. Passing, Hurts is 178 for 279 yards, 63.8% completion percentage. 1872 in passing yards, 9 TDs, 8 interceptions. Rushing, 70 attempts, 318, 4.5 yards a carry. 5 touchdowns, 5 fumbles. What? 2 lost. So, since the Buffalo game, Hurts has 14 combined touchdowns and 11 total turnovers. What are we talking about? What are we talking? Did you hear those numbers? Since the Buffalo game, he's been terrible. Terrible. Predictable. 2 things you don't want to be in the NFL. Terrible and predictable. Defense wins Super Bowls. They can defend the score. Yeah, but Abe, you can't defend turnovers. Three picks in 2 weeks. Hey, you want to rip Trevor Lawrence? Sure. I get it. Well, Hurts is in that room too. You know why? They're both $50 million guys. I don't give a shit where they were drafted now. You're up in that number, 50 million? This guy playing like a 50 million. This guy is not a franchise quarterback with these numbers. And 2-7 since Buffalo. He is not he's not playing franchise football. Am I wrong? This is a trend now. This is not 1 or 2 games. This is a trend. Okay? This is a trend. Okay? This is a trend. Jonathan Gannon ran Fangio's system better than him. I'll take him back. Robinson was running through holes that Dan could fit through. Not a guy in sight. Absolutely. I'll tell you something about you guys here today. I give you credit. Okay? You know, we jockey back and forth and have fun here. But I think all of you are realizing what you're seeing here. Besides the pick, Jalen was awesome. Jalen was awesome. Newsflash. Any good he did before was negated with the pick. Brian, Hurts apologists blow me. Brian, the pick, in my opinion, shows the panic and the hero ball that he has in him. Like, get this. Do you know what the one thing Tom Brady, he completely jaded my opinion on? Sills, is it me or the quarterback play around the league has become mediocre? Yes. Yes. Coordinators caught him. That's why scoring was down a year ago. Do me a favor. Brady played situational football all the time. You know why? It was fucking boring. Who was the most Hey guys, who was the most important player in Tom Brady's career in the first 12 years? Can you tell me? You want a trend, Sills? Analytics? Letting that determine the game plan is stupid. Got you, Q. Who was the one player in the first 12 years? There you go, Chris. There you go. Where's Chris? Vinatieri. He used half the field. Got a Hall of Fame place kicker in position to win Super Bowls and AFC championships. Adam Vinatieri kicked more game winners in critical situations than any kicker I've ever seen. Remember when Madden kept going, why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? Brady put him in a position for a 54-yard field goal to win the Super Bowl and beat the Rams. You mean to tell me you're not going to put Jake Elliott in a position to throw the ball 14 yards and give him a shot at a 58-yard field goal where he's made a 61-yarder? I'll tell you what, I feel better about Jake Elliott kicking a 58 to 60-yarder and having an attempt at that at home than I do Jalen Hurts throwing a Hail Mary up. That was a desperation throw. You didn't need it. You had time and a timeout left. That's not thinking it through. That's not playing situational football. You can't just come unraveled like that. That's the difference between Mahomes and Hurts right there. Mahomes is not throwing that ball down the field. He's going to put that kid like he did this last week against Cincinnati to win it with time expiring. He took a page right out of Brady. There lies the difference between Mahomes, Brady, and Hurts. The kicker in Kansas City is just as good as the guy in Philly. But the quarterback puts him in position to win games. Jalen Hurts was supposed to be a game manager and a conservative guy. He gets paid and thinks he's Dan Marino. Dan, we need a real quarterback. I agree, Sills. That's not situational football like Sirianni preaches. That shit. And we go out and never show it. Okay, look at this. Joe Burrow gave up that game and Chase with the penalty. You know what's funny about that, Q? How come you don't see those great teams making those mistakes late in ball games? Crossing the line of scrimmage, having positive yardage plays being brought back when it's critical times to win games. You don't see a scoop or a fumble late in football games when you're watching those two guys play or guys that know how to win those crucial games. You know, it's not luck. It's playing the percentages. John's looking at the micro going, McMullen, he goes, all he has to do is catch it. I'm not going to put the ball in that position to be caught. I'm going to take the time off. What was more important? Gambling that the guy would catch it? He probably catches it 9 out of 10. Not him. Since he's been in the league, he's got more drop footballs than any running back in pro football. You should know that. You should know that. Do you know that? Barkley has more dropped footballs than any running back since he's been drafted. You should know that. And the one critical thing that you can't do in that moment is stop the clock. Atlanta had no timeouts. That game was over. That game was over. You know what you could have theoretically have done? Think about what you could have done. Xander, correct me if I'm wrong. They had a timeout left, right? They could have ran the ball on third down. And then did what? They could have snapped the ball on fourth down, right? Or they could have snapped it, took a knee, let it run down. Atlanta had no timeouts. They could have burned another 40 or 25 off the clock. Take the penalty, kick a 30-yard field goal to put more points on the board. The worst, what you do is you took 60 minutes off the clock. What were you thinking? How about this? Akbar goes, Sills, would you have went for it on fourth down after Barkley dropped the ball? No. Okay, but how were they going to get this? If you run it on third down, think of this. Akbar, if you run it on third down, correct me if I'm wrong, Big Seal CTE. If you run the ball, Atlanta had no timeouts. You line up in fourth down. You ran the ball. The clock's still running. Clock doesn't stop. They had no timeouts. Could have took another 25 seconds, 23 seconds off the clock. Take a timeout, kick it on fourth down. And help me out here. What's the one thing that Jalen Hurts or Saquon Barkley does best? Catching the ball or running the ball? He's a better runner. Do you understand what I said? It's 3rd and 3. They turn and hand it instead of throwing that pass to stop the clock. Clock's running. How can Atlanta stop it? You line up for fourth down. It's fourth down. That clock, they start the play clock. Who's looking up? 23, 20, 21, 22. You took another 23 seconds off the clock. Timeout, kick it. You make them have to go the length of the field with 52 seconds left. Sills, why did we not use our tight ends toward the end of the game? The Falcons couldn't stop them. And on top of that, we ain't even running the ball. Barkley's doing great. All right, Sills, I think we all agree with you now. Eagles are so bad, we can't put the team on track to play better and not implode. Nothing. Coaches are stuck in their ways. I think the organization is stuck in their ways. Do you understand? Like last night, I didn't bring this up, and I wish I did with John. 3rd and 3. You don't throw it. You run it. Clock's still moving. You line up for fourth down. They start the new play clock. There goes 23 seconds more off the clock. Call timeout. You kick it. What are you thinking? Or are you not thinking? That's on Nick. Barkley's got it. Dude, my enemy is not Barkley catching that pass. My enemy is the clock. The lack of pressure on Cousins. That's my problem. So let's call him Jalen Wentz. Better yet, Jalen Winston. The guy is a freaking turnover machine that doesn't elevate his guys. Highest paid, by the way. Look, Jalen Hurts played good last night, but that's Jalen Hurts. That's not good enough. He plays like that against New Orleans, he'll get beat. He'll get beat. Did Sills talk about Nick's press conference yet? No, I'll get to that after we talk to our friend. And tell you what, I love what we do here because John and I have a different opinion of how that game ended. My enemy was the clock. And the number one cardinal sin that you couldn't have was the clock stopping. And how was that? The win-lose gamble there wasn't worth it. I'm trying to get that clock down. 49er fans here, but I enjoy your content. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. Just shows you, too, everybody in the NFC. You had a shot at really kind of putting yourself ahead a little bit here. But now you're in the room here. Who would have thought after week one that Minnesota Vikings and the Saints are teams you're talking about in the NFC right now? Let's go to the co-host of Birds 365 and also the pre- and post-game show, which were awesome last night. Thank you, guys. Xander Krause here. Xander, you've had 24 hours now to think about all the things that went on in that game last night. What was the most disturbing thing to you last night and the takeaways for you from that game?
Yeah, almost 24 hours removed. I think the most disturbing thing to me is the defense, because you talk about, I talked about the Jalen Hurts interception that drove me up a wall. I was on Jalen Hurts in the morning on Birds 365 about it. We talk about the bad coaching decision. We talk about the drop pass. All of those things, in a way, can be corrected. When you're the worst rush defense in the NFL and you can't get to the quarterback, you are not going to compete with the best teams in this league ever. You can't rush the passer and you can't stop the run, you're going to get destroyed all day. And right now, I don't see a fix for this defensive line and for really this whole defense to kind of get this thing on track. We were talking about a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. Big Cells, we took a lot of shit on JAKIB Sports all off season with you telling us this team is not a Super Bowl contending defense. That was not a Super Bowl contending defense last night. That's my biggest concern taken away from the game. But I will say, I think Jalen's skating by. I think he's getting off the hook here a little bit. If you told me, Sills, you have a quarterback that's paid like an elite quarterback, he has the ball at his own 43-yard line, he has a timeout on the board, and he's got 26 seconds, and he needs 15 yards to get within field goal range of one of the best kickers in the NFL. I would say give me that scenario all day and twice on Sunday. You force that football 30 yards up the field into one of the best safeties in the NFL's hands. I'm sorry, but that is a putrid decision. I understand Jalen played great. I understand a lot of things happened where he shouldn't have been in that circumstance. I get it. But the bottom line was Kirk Cousins had his team in a late drive. He went down the field and scored. Jalen Hurts had his chance. 25 seconds on the board, a timeout, and you're 15 yards away from Jake Elliott range. Why are you forcing that football? It's 1st and 10, Dan. It's not like it was 4th and 5, a must-have play. It was 1st and 10. Throw the ball away.
What do you think the better percentage play was at the end of the game? Elliott having a field goal attempt at 58, 59 yards, or a Hail Mary down the sidelines?
No doubt, Jake Elliott. Jake Elliott's been drilling field. He's been one of the best kickers in the league in the last couple of years.
Did you see what Cincinnati had happened to them by Kansas City at the end of that ball game, and what Mahomes did at the end? Drove him into a position. He ended up kicking a 54-yard field goal to clinch the win.
Yeah,
look, time expiring.
When you're an elite quarterback, you have to be smarter in that moment. I understand that. I'm not putting the loss all on Jalen. I'm not doing that. But when you're the elite guy and you have the ball in your hands with that much time on the clock, and you're in striking distance to win the game. We could have forgot about the Saquon drop. We could have forgot about the awful defensive play. You could have walked out of there with a 2-point win if Jalen understood where he was in that moment and knew all I need to do is get 15 yards. And I probably have 2 or 3 plays to do it at least after I get rid of the football.
With a timeout.
Force it into right with the timeout. Instead, you force it down the field to the best safety, one of the best safeties in football, and you turn the ball over. It's a brutal decision. I don't care what anybody says. That is an awful decision by the leader of this football team. When you're an elite guy, when you're the quarterback in the NFL, the onus is put on you. You have to take matters into your own hands. I get it. The defense sucked. I get it. Saquon Barkley should have made the catch. I get it. Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore, a brutal play call. I get it. Jalen Hurts had a chance to correct it all with that play there, and he threw it into a terrible play. Devontae Smith was double covered, and he wasn't even open. It was a forced throw, and it was brutal. I'm sorry, but that was a bad decision by the guy that really should be the leader of your team, who leads you to the promised land, especially when A.J. Brown is out. Who needs to step up? We talked about Jahan Dotson, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith. Why not Jalen Hurts? Step up. Make amends for missing your best player on offense.
That
didn't do it. I thought that was
a four-headed awful decision. Nussmeier, Kellen, Nick, and Jalen. Because you have to think that through. Do you know one of the things that Brady talks about all the time is that how him and Belichick used to go over situational plays in games and play those war games. If you were in this situation, Xander, I don't think he's prepared for those. Dude, championship football is played with 2 minutes into the half and 2 minutes at the end of ball games.
No doubt about it.
Especially in a 3-point differential league. That's what separates those great ones from the guys who are, what do you call them, winning games versus guys that win the games. And, I mean, that's just not well thought out. Now, follow me on this one. John and I had a pretty spirited debate last night on the postgame show when it came to that 3rd and 3. He's right with the player accountability, but the running back with the most drops since he's been drafted is Barkley. My opinion was, you look at that play and you go, okay, what's the one thing that can't happen? What's the risk reward here? Scores, game's out of reach. Got it. What happens if he drops the ball? You give Atlanta a free timeout, which is exactly what happened. I want to take that dynamic out. So what do? I wish I had thought this more out last night because I was in the moment here. You run the ball on 3rd and 3. Run it up the middle. What do you do on 4th down? Atlanta can't stop the fucking clock. The new play clock starts. Then guess what? You use that final timeout. You kick the field goal. You're up. And you know what you did? You burned 45 seconds off of that clock. You make that guy have to go the length of the field, basically, in 55 seconds instead of a minute 36. Dude, that's what you're doing in championship football moments. You're taking the risk of chance out of it and going with certainty. You were not scoring a ton of points. It was 18-15 at that time. It was not going to be a game where you were if you were going back and forth and scoring 30, 40 points, that's one thing. You were in a tight game, not a lot of scores, and as you said, there's no AJ to separate the rest of the group. You need to get points at a premium. And then Nick going for it, get this, Nick going for it on 4th down and passing up the field goals. Again, I understand the aggressiveness, but when you don't have, I think what they learned last night was that A.J. Brown, if he's not on that field, the rest of that offense falls to pieces because they learned a lesson last night. Hurts is not going to carry you across the finish line without A.J. on the field. That is not going to happen.
Yeah, look, you're right. And to the play call decision, just talking about that, I think both of you bring up a great point. I'm going back and forth on it because when you break it down like that, the risk is too high considering the clock. But the other side of it is, as a coach, Your job is to put your players in position to succeed. Saquon Barkley had the ball in his fingertips. Jalen Hurts put it right on the money. If he makes that catch, we're sitting here talking about a 2-0 football
But the
team.
position is
I
running,
get it.
not throwing the ball.
The risk was too high. That's why
Yeah.
I think you're right. That's why you don't throw it in that scenario. But all I'm saying is it's easy to sit here and judge the play call after he drops the pass. If he catches that ball and they ice the game, we're talking about, oh, good play call there. They were stacking the box against the run, and they kick it out to Saquon and they ice the game. I get it. Both sides make a lot of sense. So, but I do think at the end of the day, you're right. And look, ultimately, the downside with the decision that you made, right? The ultimate risk that you didn't want to happen ultimately ended up happening, which proves that
The reality.
in a way, yep, you were probably right that you needed to kill that time off the clock. I spoke with Akbar, who's in the chat last night on the post-game show. He brought up a good point too. Why not go for it there on 4th down to kill the clock? But they were only down. They were only up 3. So if you go for it on 4th and you don't get it, now Atlanta only has to drive to the 40. It kind of, nullifies the point. That's
not a bad way to look at it. You go for it and say you get stopped on the 1. You got to go 99 yards in a minute 20.
Well, you don't because you only need a field goal then.
Okay,
because
you're right.
The Eagles are only up by 3.
No, I need the field goal.
And because you threw the ball on 3rd down, the clock was stopped. So after a 4th down play, the clock stops again because you're going back the other way. So, I'm
not going for it on 4th down. I'm getting
the context on that play. It really can go either way, and that's kind of why I do understand where it's like, look, you're judging the result. If Saquon makes that play, which he should make that play, we're not sitting here having this conversation. But I think you're right. The risk was too high, and ultimately it came to fruition, and the Eagles lose the game because, by the way, Kirk Cousins, who would you rather have with the ball at the end of the game, Jalen or Kirk Cousins? Atlanta would pick Kirk after he dismantled our defense in 65 seconds flat. That's my point about Jalen, where everybody's on my ass. Oh, it wasn't Jalen. Jalen's not the reason we lost. I know Jalen's not the reason we lost. He had the chance, though, to go and win, and he didn't do it. And as an elite quarterback, you got to understand that moment and do it. And I didn't think he did it, and I thought that was a fail on his part.
Absolutely. Hey, I just got a text from Gary Cobb. He'll join us at 4:30 too.
Okay, cool. I'll get him.
So we're going to have Gary Cobb at 4:30, and we're going to have also Angelo Cataldi. He'll be with us at 5:30 as well. So let's get into this here. I'm putting a ton of blame on Howie Roseman as well as I did in the offseason, and I'll tell you why here, Xander. If John McMullen is going to say that you can't blame coaching and he gets tired and sick and tired of people blaming coaching, well, then you've got to get to the person that put the personnel together for that defense and constructed that defense. You knew who Vic was. He's been in the NFL for 45 freaking years. You know who he is. You know he plays 2-eye safety. You know he doesn't bring pressure. The one time he did bring pressure, Gardner Johnson got eaten up in it with a 46-yard TD pass. He never brought it after that again. Okay, you knew he's that guy. So you've got to look at Howie and go like this. Howie, the Nolan Smith move is a bust. The Bryce Huff move is a bust.
A bust.
Dude, you said it last night, and I echoed it. He is a liability on the field. He's a total liability. And you know what? He's a liability in the run game even more so. Did you see how they were blowing up the edge with him out there? It was embarrassing. Dude, I've never seen a guy play the edge in the NFL that poorly, okay? I've never seen that. It looked like he never played a down of football in his life.
Yeah, it was bad last night with Bryce Huff, man. He's going to have to do something. This whole defense, and look, in a way, Howie's entire resume right now on the defensive side of the ball falls on those Georgia guys. If Jalen Carter, if Jordan Davis, if Nakobe Dean, and if Nolan Smith, if those guys all work, you can take some of the losses that he's had, the Derek Barnett's, the Bryce Huffs, some of those things, and kind of let him go. If all of those Georgia guys, which right now, they ain't looking too good. Not even Jalen Carter looked good last night. If none of those guys work, now you're starting to see a massive trend where no defensive talent has been restored. Right now, so we're the 31st or 32nd ranked defense in the league.
32nd.
So
when it came to points, no, when it comes to yards per play.
Yards per play and run defense. And run defense as well. 32nd, last in the NFL in run defense. So, if those guys can't get it together, in a way, Howie's, his defensive, what he's done on defense kind of rides on those guys. And right now, they're not looking too good. I was high as hell on Jalen Carter coming into this year. By the way, did you hear what? No, you didn't hear this because it came out during your opening hour, which, by the way, was a tremendous open to the show today. I thought a masterclass in this game. Jeff McClain reports Jalen Carter did not start the game this week. You know why?
No.
He was late to a drill or late to a practice of some sorts this week. I will read you the exact tweet. And Vic Fangio was in a way, I guess, punishing him. I don't know. You want to call it ego, whatever you want to call it. But Jalen Carter didn't start or play in the first defensive series against the Falcons because he was late for something team-related last week. NFL sources tell the Inquirer Carter was on the field for the second series. These are all things that are adding up. You heard about some immaturity with Jalen Carter. Obviously, he had the incident coming out of college with the racing in the cars that he was involved in. Look, man, these are professional athletes. These are things that have to be handled. You have to go out there and be professional.
These are professional. No, these are athletes, not professional. Because that is not professional.
They're paid like professionals, Big Sil. So that the expectation is that they should be. But I thought that was a little bit alarming coming off of really what's been an ugly start for Jalen Carter. When we were coming into the year, I'm on the show every day talking about Jalen Carter. He's going to be an all-pro. He's this. He was nowhere yesterday, Sills. They single blocked him most of the game. Toward the end, they needed to double him a little bit. But other than that, he was a non-factor. He didn't close the pocket at all. Same with Jordan Davis. I mean, we're in trouble right now if these Georgia Bulldogs that the Eagles drafted can't do something. We are in big trouble.
Let me say this to you about Jalen Carter. I'm going to say something and plead with him. Please don't blow it. Don't be Big Sills. Please don't blow it. You're going to regret it for the rest of your fucking life if you don't take the game more serious. And the little things, the one thing that you have to do, and I give Jalen credit, we have to. And I think this was a shot. Now that I know this was a shot by Jalen Hurts at Jalen Carter. When he said this in the press conference after the game, we have to take care and manage the little things better on our team. And that's what he said. That's the little things on the team is being prepared and understanding what's expected of you. That's exactly. It was a pseudo message, but it was a true message. Yeah, boy, I'll tell you.
Fletcher Cox was on WIP blowing him up as well. He said that's not Eagles defense giving up that many yards per play, yards per rush. So, Fletcher Cox is a guy that understands this city. Say what you want about Fletcher. Everybody ripped him at the end of his career. Oh, he's not the same Fletcher Cox. Well, he was a lot better at the end of his career than anybody that was out there last night is.
Boy, so he 6.5 sacks in the way he was the best D lineman that they had last year.
Well, the bottom line is this defense has to be better. And Big Sills, you asked me what my biggest concern was. It's that because is there an in-season fix for this? I don't know if there is, dude. No. I really don't. And if there is no in-season fix,
no.
This team is not going far.
No.
They'll be lucky to get into the playoffs with a defense that looks like that.
No, there's no in-season fix for this because there's too many holes. Now, let me get a little bit on here. Don't you think Jalen looked like 2023 a little bit? And I'm going to tell you why.
Everybody was tweeting all over the place. Oh, Jalen had a great game. He didn't impress me that much. I mean, he ran the ball great, but we need him to be better in the passing game. That's what's going to make us an elite football team.
This is where I'm going with it. He's
still struggling to climb the pocket. He's still struggling to get through his progressions. He's still rolling out to the right and cutting off half of the football field. He still isn't going to the ball or throwing the ball over the middle of the field. He's still turning the ball. I said it this morning. Jeff Kerr, me and him got into a debate about it because he's like, oh, don't put it on Jalen. Don't put it on Jalen. He's got 24 turnovers in 18 games. That is not winning football. I'm concerned about Jalen Hurts, man. I really am.
Here's why I say this, because didn't it look like last night? Predictability football again. Devontae Smith, 6 meaningless 26-yard passes that are 4 yards a catch meant nothing in the landscape of things. And by the way, Goddard, what the fuck is up with that? $15 million and you're throwing to Britton Covey? Throw to the money. Throw to the money, man.
Oh, yeah, that's because
Britton Covey's not going to win you games.
I don't know if Jalen doesn't trust Goddard, if it's the middle of the field thing, if it's not getting through. I don't know why he doesn't go to Goddard. And by the way, Goddard had 3 or 4 catches, but 3 of them came at the end in garbage time. He had 1 catch when there was 90 seconds left in the football game. He was a non-factor for the entire game. I don't understand how he can be such a non-factor. You know, everybody talks about how talented he is. I said he was overrated in the offseason, and I got shelled. I got shelled in the chat. I got shelled in the comments, and I'm like, shit, maybe I'm wrong. Let me go watch some Dallas Goedert tape. You know, he just continues to not make an impact. A.J. Brown's out. It's your chance to step up, to be an impact in the passing game, to make it easier on your quarterback. I don't know if it's on Dallas. I don't know if it's on Jalen, but they're clearly not on the same page because they haven't connected at all.
Do you know what this is?
Line
This
of
is
scrimmage.
a line of scrimmage. Tell Cam Jurgens to learn how to, stay behind one.
Yeah.
9 penalties.
I'll tell you what.
In the ball game.
This has
And
been
by
an
the
issue.
way,
This has been an issue in
penalties,
the Eagles, though, back before Cam Jurgens took over. This has been since Jalen Hurts has been here.
but it ended really good plus plays. Those penalties. There were plays that they were getting good plays. All of a sudden, they would have a hold. They would have a guy downfield. Dude, if you're going to run these plays, you've got to be on the same page with the quarterback there. You can't be floating down the field. You've got to know that. I mean, he's the center with the ball in his hand.
I know.
How do you not know that?
Well, some of them were very critical plays at critical moments.
Critical moments, third down plays.
I know. And it's just brutal. You can't be making those decisions. But like I said, it's gone back before Cam Jurgens. This has been an issue. And I think part of it has to do with, the RPO, and Jalen sometimes holds the football. So the offensive lineman doesn't always know what's going on back there. It's tough for them to make it up, but you're right. They have to fix it. There's no excuses, man. You can't just take those penalties over and over and over again, but it's been a problem for the last couple of years, and it's something they're going to have to fix.
Boy, I'll tell you, man, Bijan Robinson last night, he runs hard. He is a whale of a football player, man. I'll tell you this. Isn't that a game, Xander, that you checked and said, we're going to win Atlanta? Atlanta's a win.
Right.
Okay, now look at what you did.
Get this, and then you watched Atlanta in week 1, and you're like, oh, this is really a win.
This is a win, right? And you're like, so you lose to an NFC team. Now it's coming out and being reported that A.J. Brown may miss multiple weeks, which means New Orleans and the Bucs. Dude, can you imagine rolling into that bye week 1 and 3?
Dude, don't say that. This team, Nick Sirianni's seat is going to be piping hot if he goes into this bye week 1 and 3. Now, Grant, I don't think we're going to go in 1 and 3. I know it's overreaction.
That New Orleans game is going to be.
I think this team should settle in. They have a lot of talent. Like, I don't want to be the overreact guy right now, but I'm not feeling good about this team right now after what I saw last night. If they go into the bye,
why I'm not overreacting, and I'm just echoing what I've said for the last 6 months. That's why. This is not overreaction. I've been echoing this for 6 months.
I know, and everybody's been calling you nuts. You're the hater. You're this. You're that. Fire Sileo. Do this. Sills has been right, everybody. That's the brutal. And then, that's the lesson I'm learning from you is sometimes I got to sit back and listen to my man, Big Sills, who's played the game at a high level, who's covered the game for 30, 40 years, and who has been through this before. You told me what the problems were on this team, and I didn't want to believe it. And now, through 2 weeks, I'm starting to see every single problem that you said rear its ugly head.
Here's just some of the I went like this. So, Xander, I remember asking you, so you think a guy who had 480 snaps, never played first, second, and third down in New York is going to just walk in and play 3-down line, and that's just going to be a transition like that? And you said, well, the organization gave him $51 million. Not a bad – you're right. And it was a projection from Howie that they thought that player could roll in and take over and be an edge setter for the Eagles. Dude, last night, honest to God, that was one of the most embarrassing defensive efforts I've ever – I saw a guy – do you understand, Xander? He wasn't blocked by offensive tackles. He was blocked by tight ends.
Dude, tight ends all day. That's what I mean. You're talking about the run game. I get it. He sucks in the run. I don't even think he can get
You put a tight end on Hassan Reddick.
So I tagged you in a tweet last night. I'm not sure if you saw that. Did you see the breakdown of his 10 sacks last year? 6 sacks came versus backup offensive tackles. One, by the way, was against Jack Driscoll versus the Eagles. 2 came versus Tua, who tripped in the pocket. 1 came versus Justin Herbert, who rolled out and he was unblocked. And then there was 1 or 2 against the good tag. 1 was against Mailata, and I think 1 was against Rashawn Slater. This is a guy that I think the hype is way overdone. We talked about the pass rush win rate. Shit, it's easy to win a lot of pass rushes if you're getting tight ends and backup tackles all season. Bryce Huff has been brutal to watch. He's been a liability. So like when you rewatch this game tape, you're going to watch Bryce Huff. It's going to be worse than you anticipated it is right now, than you're thinking right now. It is brutal. There are plays when they're running by him on the field. He's fixing his head. He's jogging behind the play. He looks awful out there. Brutal. I mean, everybody's like, oh, bring back Hassan Reddick. Not happening because you named it why they're not doing it. Howie will never admit to his mistakes like that. Howie has too much pride, too much ego. He's not going to do it. And this pass rush is in a brutal spot, man. None of them are getting home. It's the worst pass rush we've seen in a long time.
I had somebody, tag me on something with what Seth said. And I said, it's a fucking stupid take. I said, do you actually believe that Howie Roseman's going to go up to Jeffrey Lurie and go, hey, I want to make a play for Reddick? That means that you have to admit that Smith was a 30th pick bust. Then you have to turn around and admit that Huff was a $51 million mistake. Then you got to turn around and ask for $75 million. As you told me before, an organization and how it acts, you really think that's Howie Roseman-ish? That he's going to admit 4 failures in one move to bring back a guy? Absolutely not happening.
Not happening.
Not happening.
It's not happening. And you know what? We're going to suffer because we're going to watch a putrid pass rush. And by the way, we were worried about the pass rush coming into the year. We weren't worried about the interior of the D-line. We thought, we have Jalen Carter. He's going to go into his second year. If they look like that all season long, it's going to be a long season, everybody. So settle in, because if that defensive front doesn't get going a little bit, this is going to be the start of this ugly season, not the end.
Jalen, what makes this thing really awful, Xander, is that many people wanted to give the Eagles and their defense and everyone else the benefit of the doubt because of the Brazil field. Well, you were at home and you were on skates in Brazil and you were on skates in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It didn't matter what ice skating ring you were on. You were out there skating around, getting knocked backwards. By the way, one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen is a running back coming on a chip block and just blowing up an edge rusher like he did on Nolan Smith. I thought he knocked his fucking teeth out. I mean, that guy's just not stout enough.
All that block. We should bring that up, honestly.
You know what else? Something else about Reddick you got to remember. What happened when you put a tight end on Reddick? This guy destroyed Brock Purdy in an NFC title game and destroyed a game. You didn't put tight ends on Reddick. You put OTs like Trent Williams on him. Dude, you put running backs now on this guy, Huff.
It's ridiculous, dude. Look at this play. I just want to show everybody so they know exactly what we're talking about. Look at this play here. Here's Nolan Smith coming off the edge, as you can see him.
And Bijan's going to do a chip block.
Watch Bijan from the chip block. Boom. And that was the play Milton Williams got the sack. So it was actually the one decent pass rush of the night. But look at Nolan Smith. Dude.
And it was on Lindstrom.
Dude, you got to get in the gym. If a running back is cleaning your clock like that, and you're supposed to be a first-round draft pick and an edge rusher, look at that. Oh, my God, it hurts to watch.
Dude.
Oh, my God. He got absolutely lit up on that play.
Have you ever seen TJ Watt knocked out like that?
Dude, that's not a first-round edge rusher. I'm sorry, it's not.
How about
look, we're in trouble, Sills. This pass rush is not good, brother. We are in trouble.
I think your talent's not good on defense. I've been saying it for 6 months, and I'll actually do this another time here too.
Well, how much are you going to put on Vic Fangio then? Because I do think the talent's not there, but boy, you went backwards from last year. We're 32nd ranked defense through 2 weeks. I didn't think it could get worse than Patricia and Desai and all that BS. Right now, we're the worst defense in the NFL.
Who was a better coordinator in your opinion, Sean Desai or what you saw 2 weeks right now with Vic?
Look, I mean,
he beat Mahomes.
It's only 2 weeks with Vic, so you can't make a whole proclamation yet.
He did beat Mahomes and Stafford and Allen.
True, look, I thought that there was an overreaction to Sean Desai last year because you're right. They beat Allen, they beat Mahomes, they beat Dak Prescott.
They beat Tua.
They had a couple big wins in the middle of the season there, and then all of a sudden you give it to Matt Patricia and the whole train comes off the rails. But look, through 2 weeks, this is one of the worst defenses we've seen in Philly in a long time. Look, I'm going to keep giving you credit, Sills, because the amount of shit I manage the JAKIB channel, the amount of shit I see in the comments ripping you every single day. You told me all offseason you lost Fletcher Cox and you lost Hassan Reddick, and you replaced them with lesser talents, and you think this defense is going to be better? And I said, no holes defense. I said, well, they're going to get it together. I like the potential. I like Vic Fangio. This defense looks way worse than it did a year ago, and that's a big problem for a team that has Super Bowl aspirations.
How about this, too? Kirk Cousins targeted Quinyon Mitchell in that final drive.
Yeah.
Because you know why? The scheme hurt him.
I don't want to beat Quinyon up too much.
I'm not either. I'm not. He's
a rookie. He's going to get targeted. Overall, I think he's held his own pretty well. Yeah.
I'm not. I think the scheme, to your question, what you asked about Vic, I think the scheme hurt him.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Too far off the ball. Dude, they were playing pitch and catch. They were uncontested walking off the sidelines. They had no freaking timeouts. What's the number one thing you're trying to do as a corner and what you're trying to do as a defense? You want them to make plays in the middle of the field, not on the sidelines. You defend the sidelines. You don't defend the middle of the field. You defend the sidelines because that's where that high safety two gets beat. He hates getting beat on the numbers. You know why? That's why those guys are playing 15 yards off the ball and almost 25 yards with their two deep safeties. Dude. And then the ultimate that you had last night was that the two safeties that played in Atlanta, and one of them was Justin Simmons. Do you know Jalen Hurts had no footballs that were completed of 20 yards or more in that game last night because AJ wasn't out there?
He had one attempt of 20 yards. It was intercepted. By the way, a brutal decision and a brutal attempt for Jalen Hurts. Nobody else wants to tell you that because everybody in Philly is afraid to criticize the quarterback for some weird reason. It's like the guy gets paid and it's like, okay, the expectations are now lessened because we paid him elite money and we need him to bring us over the top. If God forbid AJ Brown tweaks a hamstring. I mean, brutal last night. One throw of over 20 yards and he throws it right into the hands of Jesse Bates. Just a terrible decision, a terrible throw, the whole 9 yards. Not good. Not good from Jalen Hurts. But to your point, that's how much A.J. Brown changes his team. You take A.J. Brown off that field, you don't have one splash play last night. Nothing over 20 yards in the air.
Quarterback can't carry you?
Clearly. And look, Sills again. Sills has been saying it. I've been saying, oh, Jalen's going to be the MVP. He's going to come back 4,500 passing yards. He's going to do this. I'm thinking this guy's going to keep getting better. Keep getting better. Guys, you got to call a spade a spade. He has not progressed in the passing game. He had a good game last night.
He did.
He ran the ball great. He did a lot of good things.
He looked like 22. He looked like 22. I went, oh my God, there he is. I haven't seen him in a year and a half.
Right. He ran the ball great, but you still see he doesn't climb the pocket. He rolls out to his right, and he's struggling to get through his progressions and use the middle of the field. At the end of the day,
and it's predictable with
NFL defenses are catching up to it. I said it, we talked about it yesterday before the show. Raheem Morris, that's a good defensive mind. Well, he had the book out on Jalen Hurts last night. And ultimately, Jalen had an all right game, but he didn't really push the needle. Like he just said, he didn't throw the ball downfield at all. He really won the game with his legs. Yeah, the one big scoring drive we had late in the game was because Jalen Hurts kept running the football. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's a good thing. But when you're talking about him progressing as a quarterback, he hasn't done it. He hasn't showed it at all.
Xander, his 85 yards rushing was the most impressive thing he did last night.
Yeah, no doubt.
Wasn't his arm. I got two more for you, Xander. And don't forget, folks, our great friends at BetUS, if you're looking for a new betting book, I guarantee you last night, some of you guys, man, may have hopefully taken what I said, take the points in Atlanta, because last night was a chance for you to win some games. And we got a new house that we're teamed up with here at JAKIB Sports. We're so proud to be doing this. 150% bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000 and 200% in crypto bonuses as well. Log on to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Fastest payouts in the business, 24/7 personalized service, 365 days of the year. Live wagering on all major games. Thursday night football, college football right around the corner for you. Week 3 of the NFL, week 4 college football is coming up, and it's coming up quick. So make sure you log on to betus.com.pa. That's betonline.com.pa. We hope you'll do that with our friends at BetUS. All right. So someone asked me earlier, Sills, can you fix this? No. This is something that I told you that this defense was going to have to. You know, the only way you can fix this defense, Xander, is if that offense gets better. Where you know what, too? What's crazy? Look at this. You hold the Atlanta Falcons to 58 plays. 58 plays. You held Green Bay to 48 plays. You're doing your job to help the defense. It's not enough. Most teams, look at it, 68 plays. The Eagles have had 68 plays the first two games. Normal good teams will play at about, look at this, they had 35 minutes too. They had 35 minutes, 68 plays. That's a really good football game, but they only had 9 possessions the entire football game. That defense is going to need more from that offense. Quite frankly, 2023 offense looks better so far.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. I do want to get to the super chat stills. They're
there's a ton of them. I'm sorry I missed them.
Yeah, we'll get to them at the end of the segment here. We won't. Don't worry. We'll get to all of them. Prince, everybody. We saw the super chats. We will get to every super chat. Appreciate all you guys. But look, you're right. I mean, when your defense can't get a stop like that, that means look. If this offense doesn't score 30 points a game, we're not going to win many football games. And without AJ Brown now for the next couple of weeks, by the way, don't forget who we're playing in week 3, everybody. Coming into the year, we weren't worried about the Saints. They just ripped the Dallas Cowboys in Arlington, Texas. They ruined them. 44 points they put on the board. Now we're going to go into New Orleans, which is a tough place to play, coming off of that loss, and have to go up against that team, which maybe is the hottest team in football. This is not looking good for the Eagles. They better figure out a way to get this thing back on the tracks and quick. And it's going to be on the players. It's going to be on Jalen Hurts. It's going to be on the leaders of this football team. Jalen Hurts, Jalen Carter on the defensive side. Dude, you got to play better. That's what I mean. Like, that's why I didn't want to rip Quinyon Mitchell. I'm like, look, Quinyon, yeah, he had some bad plays, but you can't be expecting a rookie to hold the whole fort down for the entire defensive side of the football. These guys have to be better. And the same goes for the offensive side. If they don't start to score more points, oh boy, it's not going to be pretty, Big Sills.
All right, I'm going to bring up something that you and I kind of went back and forth on. So I watched that presser with Nick, and Nick got defensive when one of the reporters went like this to him. He goes like this. He goes, just to be clear, Nick, Kellen's calling all the plays. And Nick fired back and went, hey, if you want to start all that up again, and yes, he calls all the plays. I'm the head coach. And I'm thinking to myself, okay. And he made it very clear in that press conference that those play calls were his, but the timeout situations were his. And the decisions to throw and not throw came on Nick. Got to tell you, man, you got 2 guys not on the same page. And I'm talking the head coach and the offensive coordinator. You can't be talking out of both sides of your mouth with 2 different results, and one guy saying, yes, he's the coordinator, I handled the timeouts. Well, the timeouts were handled poorly. The play calling situation, you didn't stop that, Nick? You didn't think that thing through enough, and at the end of the game, like you said about the turnover on getting the field goal kicker in a position for a percentage opportunity at winning the game, you didn't think that through with your coordinator? You're not on the same page, man.
Yeah, no.
You're just not, and that setup right there reared its head in the critical times of the game.
Well, look, you can blame Nick and Kellen and Jalen, anyone, all you want.
Oh, I blame Jeffrey Lurie on that.
The front office, because this is what they did to Nick Sirianni. And everybody, don't blame your coordinator. This is what they did to him. They made everybody think he was the entire problem for the last couple of years, and then they castrated him by taking every duty he had since he's been here, and they pulled it out from under him. Now they want him to fall on the sword for Kellen Moore too? You're right, there's no rhythm. Nobody knows who's doing what. They're not on the same page. Kellen doesn't know what he can do. Nick doesn't know what he can do. It's a brutal setup. John's been saying this, credit to John, all summer about the setup of this football team. It doesn't look good, man, from the coaching perspective. I know it's week 2. I know we're in overreaction Tuesday right now. I think this team will settle in. But right now, if they don't fix some of these issues quick, this is going to get ugly quick.
Last one here. This gatekeeper guy brings something up. And gatekeeper, you're right. Oh, I'm hearing his talk out of Hurts. He ain't getting better. He hadn't gotten better since Buffalo.
Yeah, gatekeeper. I'm done with the slogans, man. I want to see
too.
you win.
I'm done with that.
I'm done with it, man. Look, I get it. It sounds great. It is what it is. I'm done with that shit.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I'm almost missing Andy Reid, who gets up there every time. Oh, we got to be better. We got to be better. Says the same thing every time. Go and do it on the football field. You had a chance, and everybody, look, I get it. It wasn't all on Jalen last night. And this is where Prince, he wants me to read his super chat because he was mad I said what I said about Jalen Hurts. So not taking the field goal had no impact on the game's outcome. Got it. That's not what I said, Prince. I said if you're a team in this league who has an elite quarterback, you'll take the opportunity with 25 seconds on the clock and you're 15 yards out from field goal range. Jalen Hurts had a timeout on the board and it was 1st and 10. He made an awful decision and he could have won the game if he just made the right decision. I'm not saying all the other problems don't exist. I'm not saying the pass rush was good. I'm not saying the coaches made the right calls. I'm not saying Saquon shouldn't have dropped it. But Jalen Hurts had a chance to right the ship. When you're a quarterback in the NFL, all you can ask for is a chance. He had that chance and he blew it with a brutal decision to throw the ball to Jesse Bates. That's what I was saying, Prince. I'm not saying that had no impact on the game. Ultimately, it came down to Hurts having the ball in his hands, and he didn't answer.
Before we read more super chats, I want to ask you this thing here, because now I didn't realize, Xander, it would take till week 3 adversity hits. And we have to look and see if they can overcome what happened in 2023. Do you think that there's enough leadership on this team where they put that behind them, roll into New Orleans and take care of business? Or do you think this is the beginning of what we saw, maybe not the extent of what we saw last year in 23? Do you think there's enough leadership from the higher-ups, and I'm talking the leaders on the team and the coaching staff, for them to be able to overcome what they couldn't overcome a year ago? Because, boy, I'll tell you, that's a lot of unraveling, a lot of miscommunication, hero ball by the quarterback, slogans and bullshit. I feel like I'm in high school listening to that quarterback. He talks like he's a high school quarterback. I mean, guy, you're a professional quarterback. Act like it. You got guys late to meetings. You got guys not taking accountability of what your job is as a professional. You got a lot of stupid, immature shit going on here that does end up becoming a factor when it comes. Dude, this is a league of little things. You know how they say it's a game of inches? Well, that's part of it. It's a game of little things too. And if you don't take care of that stuff, big things mount up off those little things. Do you think that they overcome this, that they learned from their mistakes a year ago?
Look, they have no choice, or else this is going to be one of the ugliest seasons in the Eagles' history in a long time, because the amount of talent, and the reason I say that, people will say, oh, no, we've had worse seasons. With this amount of talent on this team, with the expectation coming into the year, we've never seen an offense loaded with talent like this. If this team doesn't reach playoffs, reach some level of expectations, it's going to be the biggest collapse in Eagles history. From going back to last year, Jalen Hurts everybody's going to be calling for Jalen Hurts. Nick Sirianni's going to be on the outs. Kellen Moore's going to be on the outs. Everybody's going to be calling for everybody. So they better turn it around. They better turn it around quick. Reed Blankenship had an interesting comment. I'm not sure if you caught that. Did you catch this?
No.
After the game, Reed Blankenship spoke, and he said, at the end of the day, we're a player-led team. And the coaches, apparently, no coaches spoke in the locker room last night. It was all players. And I'm like, is that a good thing? Is that what you want?
I want my players to take accountability for what happened last night.
Taking accountability is one thing, Sills. If you have coaches that don't even speak to the team after a loss like that, you don't have leaders. You don't have coaches.
Especially after what happened in 23. Well, here, let's put it this way. What would Mike Tomlin have said after that game? Would he have said nothing?
Mike Tomlin would have ripped that team.
Mike Tomlin. Did you see what that guy said at a press conference? The guy goes like this. Hey, did that guy not go back in the game the rest of the game because he had 3 of the legal procedures? He goes, you got it. I was like, whoa. Right?
Yeah.
All right, let's do the rest of the super chats. Gary Cobb's going to join us at 4:30 Eastern.
Yeah, good stuff. We'll have Gary on. We hit Prince already. Eusto says, gentlemen, Sirianni is too involved in play calls. I was going to ask you think he's still involved?
No, I think he's involved in the situation of the play calls, which is like a 2-minute warning going into half, a 2-minute at the end of the game. I think he's involved in this decision, Jutso. I think he's in this decision, whether to run it or pass it. I think he's involved in that, in the decision, but I don't think he is actually involved in the play calling per se, per play. No, I don't.
Okay. I don't think he is either yet. I think that's on Kellen now, but we'll see how that rears its head. Devin Shanahan checks in. Allen wouldn't have sold that final drive. I tend to agree, but, be careful because you're going to get a lot of hate in the chat if you say that.
Allen right now is 2-0 with no turnovers and no receivers. Okay. I mean, just saying right
I don't
now.
know. I don't understand, this city I grew up in. I really don't. It used to be you expect greatness from the players who are paid for greatness. Now it's like all we can do is make decisions or make excuses for the guy. Guys, we paid Jalen Hurts to elevate this football team. Why are you not expecting that of him? If he does it, we're a Super Bowl team. If he doesn't, we're going to fall on our head. I don't understand what happened to Eagles fans. I really don't. They've become soft.
Yep.
Why are we acting like Jalen Hurts deserves every benefit of the doubt? When something goes wrong in Kansas City, you know what they say? It's on Mahomes. When something goes wrong in Cincinnati, it's not the offensive line. It's on Joe Burrow. When something goes wrong in Buffalo, it's on Josh Allen. Why, if something goes wrong in Philly, can we not point to the elite guy who's supposed to get us out of trouble?
You know what it seems, Xander, to me? It just looks that you guys have created another category, the gray area category. I always thought that the Philly sports fan was this. You get it for greatness. You get it for being shitty. Nothing in the middle. It was black and white. Now, guess what it is? There's gray area now. Well, he's my guy. I really like the guy. He's really a good player. He's a friendly guy. Who gives a fuck about that? I don't care about that. I care about winning games.
Win on the football field. That's it. That's all I care about.
Right.
Be great. That's why I was so mad about the play at the end. That's why I was so pissed about that last play. Everyone's like, oh, I get it. There's a lot that happened in the game. That's every football game. You can never point to one play. But at the end of the day, we had a chance. We were 15 yards away, and the ball was in our elite quarterback's hands. He threw a brutal pass and made a brutal decision. Why is everybody just, oh, no, that doesn't matter. No, it's on Saquon. It's on the coach. It's
no, Saquon's
why? Jalen had a chance to win the game. Why does that not matter?
Yeah,
I don't understand.
So Barkley's the GOAT today, okay? Barkley's the GOAT and the GOAT, and they'll never blame that quarterback. That quarterback played as good as he could play without A.J. Brown. By the way, he's proven a point. A.J.'s not on the field. He's who he is. That's not – if you play like you did last night versus New Orleans, they'll beat you by 14 points.
14? Ooh, that's generous of you, Sills. I appreciate it.
I know.
They just whopped the Dallas Cowboys by 30. And you think they're going to beat us by 14 if we play like that? They'll beat us by 42 if we
They've scored 90 plus points in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and they'll do it. They'll put up another 40 burger next week if that defense can't get any pressure and those dudes show up, for a day at the office. Those dudes got to come ready to play, man. None of these guys deserve excuses. I'm sorry. Not Jalen, not Devontae, not the guys on the defensive side of the ball. None of them. Why are we giving excuses?
Absolutely.
None of them deserve it.
Xander, do me a favor. Tell us where we are in the like list. I want to get Gary Cobb on here at the bottom of the hour. Dude, you guys have been great today, and I appreciate it.
Today, man. That was a tough game to watch as an Eagles fan.
Yep.
Look, I know everybody might not love all my takes today. That's fine. But when you watch that game and you're an Eagles fan and you come into this season with the expectations that we have, there's only one word for that game last night. That's disappointing. It's disappointing to watch the guy you put your faith in as a fan. You spend your money on jerseys to go to the game, and you're just going to, oh, it's okay.
My word was train wreck.
I don't get it, man.
My word was train wreck.
Let's run through these superstars. We keep getting distracted. Brian Pumper checks in. Good play call versus common sense. 22 Eagles. We're running on stacked boxes no matter what. Just saying. Yeah, Brian Pumper has been on fire on the super chats. Khaled checks in. Can these defensive issues be fixed in season? Khaled, I don't think so. Sills, do you think so?
No, I do not. I think only reps are going to help them, and that'll be in the back end of the year, probably in the third quarter poll of the season, which is probably around November. That's when you'll start to see if they are getting better. Probably around November they'll get better, but not right now. There's no chance.
Yeah, the disciple checks in. What is this obsession with throwing the ball in the red zone? Did you see all those clean pockets they gave him? Just throw it out of bounds. Disciple, I agree. Big Sills, your response to the disciple?
I don't know. I mean, their red zone offense was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, look, go back to the first quarter, Sills. 4 carries for Saquon Barkley, and the guy goes 40 yards. And then you get inside the red zone, and it's 4 straight pass plays, and you leave with no points.
You get away from that.
I don't profess to be the greatest offensive mind in the world. Why?
No, I thought Kellen Moore did not call a good game last night.
No, he didn't.
I did not. I just, the play calling was sporadic last night.
It was not great last night. Abe checks in. Appreciate it, Abe. Everything was fucking up when Howie was on the sideline. Yeah, they keep showing. I'm sure you caught that in the broadcast.
Of course, I saw the cheerleader over there waiting to see another victory, but then he got a little surprise there at the end.
Yeah, now Howie's looking at
like Tom Brady.
Yeah, now everybody's got their sights on Howie because this defense ain't looking too good right now, Howie. Hertz is good at selling chocolate to ladies in white gloves. I don't know what you mean by that, Jacob, but appreciate the super chat, man. Thank you for being here. Some Black Ninja says Big Sills need to be guest speaker for the Eagles. They'll never do that, man. They don't want they want yes men only in that organization. And hey, maybe that's part of the problem. How much yes men they want around them.
Absolutely. I won't be invited to the media tent or the media suite there at Lincoln Financial. That's for sure. Xander. Great stuff. We're going to get Gary Cobb on around the corner here and get his spin here next. I got to take a time out here, but yeah, man. I mean, you and John do a great job. And by the way, I love the fact that John and I can go back and forth.
Yeah,
our pre and post game show were absolutely sensational. Please make sure you check it out. Xander will catch you tomorrow. Birds 365. I so appreciate it, brother.
Sills, thank you, buddy. Everybody in the chat, love you guys. Thanks for all the support on the channel. Let's hopefully this team can get it back on the rails. Come on, maybe. Let's get ready for a win in week 3. We got to put this behind us and get back on the board. But appreciate it, Sills. Appreciate it. Everybody, catch you tomorrow.
You got it. Gary Cobb right around the corner. Please hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Score and save at Southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid.
as long as you face the fear.
And keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 80 years. Independence Blue Cross.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. We are going to have on at 5:30 Angelo Cataldi. I can't wait to get his thoughts. Angelo said 5 wins this year. Yeah. So I can't wait to get Gary Cobb on here. But before I do, I want to set this up for Gary. A lot of conversation about the 3rd and 3. Now, I want to tell you what situational football is. Atlanta has no timeouts. Okay? No timeouts. You got 3rd and 3. What's the one thing you cannot have happen? Down there in the red zone with a team that has no timeouts and is down 3. You know what that is? The risk reward. Barkley, who has dropped the ball more than any running back since he's been drafted. You put that player in a position at a high-risk play. Catches it? Sure, get it. But what you do as a play caller and head coach, what's the one play and who's your biggest enemy? It's the clock. Here's what you do. You run the ball. Instead, you know what happened? You gave Atlanta a timeout. You gave them a timeout with a defense that was a sieve all day long. Couldn't stop the run, couldn't stop the pass. An experienced guy in Cousins. Not that he's great. Any quarterback in the league, though, with time. Sam Darnold's going to complete passes. He's 2-0. You know what you do, too? If you think it out thoroughly, you run the ball, clock starts, right? You burn 30 seconds off. What happens then? You line up for 4th down. Clock starts again. Atlanta can't stop the ball. You, in theory, take off 60 seconds of the clock. Call timeout. You had one left. You kick a field goal, and you make them have to go 35. You make them have to go 75 yards in 54 seconds instead of a minute, 40 seconds. You tell me what's harder. God, it's been in that situation. Now, Gary may disagree with me. Now, look, is Barkley accountable for missing the pass? Of course he is. But you put players as a good coach in positions to win. Tom Brady runs the ball. Tom Brady puts Adam Vinatieri at the end of a football game in a field goal position for Jake Elliott to kick it and try to kick a 60-yarder or a 58, 59-yarder to try to win it. His top was 61. Give him a shot. It's a higher percentage play than a Hail Mary. That's 2 minutes, man, in the half. And at the end of the game, that's the difference between championship football and winning ball games. Let's bring Gary Cobb in here from Fox 29. That goes down in the line, Gary, as a colossal disaster that resembles a lot of 23 and what we saw yesterday and last night there. Let's start with that 3rd and 3, in your opinion. Was it the right play call?
Well, clearly, of course, looking back, of course, you can see that it wasn't the way things worked out. But that's where the coach, see, as a player, yeah, I can do it. You're going to be in the coaches. I can do it. But the coach has to say, okay, what is the safest? I mean, how can we be sure? I mean, if we got something we can be sure of, we know we're going to go in that direction. And, your point, which is a great point. But the fact, see now, he's just getting to know Saquon. Now, Saquon is an outstanding player. But when you're talking about, I don't know how much he's dropped the ball. I don't know how many times.
Right, Gary, most of any running back since he's been drafted.
I mean, right there. So right away, if you got to know your guy and go, look, we believe in Saquon, but maybe not in that situation. We're not sure of everything. But the way they did it is it's like you got a great pass receiving running back. Now, He's capable of making a great play.
Yes.
We know, the sky's the limit with him. But you got to know your players. And you got to look at it and say, we're playing to win. Pride is out the door. We're not trying to be pride. And clearly, they made a mistake because you do not, especially the way the defense was playing. Come on, the defense is horrible.
Oh.
I mean, you got guys, those safeties were lined up,
25 yards deep. Troy
Come on.
Aikman, dude, Gary, the corners were 15, and then the safeties were 25. Troy Aikman in the broadcast was going, you guys are way too deep back there, man.
Come on. Wait, they're not even in the game. I mean, come on. It was just ridiculous how wide open those guys were when they ran those routes and things. I tell you, and the thing about it is I don't like about the defense is they're playing scared, man. You got to be aggressive. The coach is going to tell you to play, but that was just, I mean, oh man, I tell you, that game there, boy, getting blown out, you lose. Come on, you got to win that game, man. Come on, winning team wins that game in the situation they were in, and they got to know their defense. And Nick has to know. Look, the defense has been playing horrible. They didn't stop them. The only time that the Falcons were stopped, the Falcons stopped themselves. Where he can't throw the ball to a wide open receiver, and the pass rush. Look, man.
Wow.
I mean, that kid that they got, they put that kid on a give him a bus ticket, man.
Gary, did you see that guy trying to set the edge, Bryce Huff, and he was getting blown up by tight ends, not even tackles. I mean,
I know.
Do you know that he had 2 games has 0 hits on the quarterback?
I know. I mean, I was just looking at him. I was, I got the game over here. I can look at the replay. And I'm looking at, man, the tight ends are throwing him around. I'm going, I didn't know this kid was that bad. This kid can't play.
Can't play.
I mean, I hate to say it, man. You see with the tackles, he doesn't get any penetration. The guy's throwing him around, man. And then I saw the tight ends throwing him around. I'm going, why? Who was it that saw this guy when they got to have him? Man, makes you think that, they should give Hassan Reddick his money.
$17.8 million and $51 million they gave that guy, and they projected him to be a 3rd down guy. 3 down guy.
But the kid, he's got to show something to me. But right now, what I saw, this kid can't play, man. He's getting thrown around. Like I said, they have the tight end blocking him and throwing him around. I'll tell you, that was really disappointing. But, looking at the whole game, of course, everybody played a role in it. You could go through it. And, of course, one of the big things is going into the game. See, at the start with the 3 points, look, A.J. Brown is not playing. Why are you not taking the 3 points? What you guys think you're such a great team? Take the 3 points, man. I mean, come on. It started off there. Coach, take the 3 points. You got it right there. What do you think you guys are? Coach, you don't have A.J. Brown. Your best receiver you do not have.
Your best player.
Yeah. He's not there. Well, then you got to look at things differently then. And you could see they're not the same team without him. Come on.
That offense is just putrid without him. I mean, with all the things that you say there, I mean, do you know, Gary, that they didn't have 1 plus 20-yard completion in that ball game last night, and they don't have AJ out there, like you said, and you're passing up points, and you're not doing situational play calling. I personally didn't think Kellen Moore called a good game last night. I saw Jalen play
I didn't think that was a good game.
I thought Jalen played like he did in 22. I thought his legs were the determining factor on what kept him in it, right?
Yeah. Those scrambles, come on. Those weren't called plays.
No.
He took off and he made plays out there, on those initial drives. He made plays, with his legs. And you could see when he dropped back and he's not really sure where he's going with the ball. And he's not confident anybody's going to be open. Now, unfortunately, on that last interception, he came out of the huddle saying, hey, I'm going to throw the ball to Devontae on this corner route. And, and that was the interception. But he carried the team in the first half. I mean, most of the game, it was Jalen making plays or they weren't doing anything. I mean, and, you had Saquon, he got going early, but then they kind of stopped that. They kind of stopped that running, slowed that running game down. So then it's basically Jalen, trying to get the ball to Devontae because it didn't seem like anybody else was very effective out there. So that was really disappointing. But I just thought that he didn't coach. Coach didn't do a good job there. You go into the game. You got to change your mindset when you don't have your best offensive player. Come on, don't act like you're the same team because you're not the same team. And clearly, they're not the same team without him.
No, they're not.
They're not the same team.
They're not. They're not close. And I gotta bring this up with you, Gary. Boy, I'll tell you something. Nolan Smith can't play. Those two D tackles should be embarrassed. I mean, you've given up 318 yards in 2 games rushing the ball.
I mean, guys just flying through the middle of your defense. How could you be letting people run through your defense like that? These guys are with holes. They're not getting off blocks. I think that, I mean, as much as they talk about the coach, come on, isn't that some of that coaching?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't seem like. Look how bad the defense was. Great defensive coordinator. Where at? I mean, I don't see it. I mean, I don't want to just be blasting people, but I'm looking at they're running plays with the running back just blasting up the middle,
gassing running plays. I mean, you're right, Gary, about passing blame around here, but let me take it back to the architect here then. It's one thing to draw a scheme up, but Gary, you and I have been saying this about this defense. You can't cover it with inexperience and trash can linebackers just to say that you think a scheme is going to cover it. You're inexperienced. That last drive, who did Cousins target? He targeted Quinyon Mitchell. Yeah. Because Quinyon was far off the ball. The scheme didn't fit what they were doing. He knew they'd be wide open. Yeah. They were non-contested throws on the numbers with minutes in the game with no timeouts. That's a cardinal sin that you're doing that. Right. You're not even pressing anybody. You can't stop the run. And my point was, or what did you really think? Nolan Smith has shown you he can't play. Bryce Huff is showing you he is not even a situational pass rusher right now. Yeah. I mean, there's no pressure. There's no defending the run. I mean, Gary, does this get better in your opinion? I mean, can the offense help them by look at what they did? And Gary, they held the Falcons to 58 plays. The week before, they held the Packers to 45 plays. I mean, they're doing their job. Yeah. Most teams have 65 to 70 plays a game. Can you imagine if the Falcons and the Packers had what the Eagles did with 70 plays? They would have put a 10 spot on them and beat them by 10.
Yeah. I tell you, I been very disappointed, I mean, very disappointed in the defense.
In Vic or in the talent or both?
Both. I mean, I can't say he's doing a good job. He put these guys out there and they're just getting gassed. Then on that last drive, these guys are wide open, man. I mean, wide open guys are open. I mean, with the game on the line, I mean, you got your safeties playing. The game is in Nebraska, and they're in Ohio. I mean, what I'm going like, look at what these guys are lining up at. And, I know they've got to be really angry, man, because, losing a game like that where, it's a game you should win, but you play that poorly. I mean, that's not a good, I mean, defensively, would I say that's a good defense?
Absolutely
no.
Not. And by the way, when you look at Atlanta, Gary, when you look at Atlanta, that was a game that you were like, we're going to win that game. I mean,
come on, we got to beat Atlanta.
And got to beat Atlanta. You can't beat Atlanta. You're in trouble.
Hey, you know that. The thing is, he's throwing the ball and missing people. There were guys open. He's missing them. Flat out, wide open. He's just missing guys. So you got that, man. Really, I tell you, boy, that was very concerning. You got a offense, when AJ gets healthy and stuff, you got that offense, they got to score points. We saw that in the first game. I guess, in order to beat people, they're going to have to really have a big year, man, because the way the defense is playing, I mean, where do you see them getting better? I haven't seen anything really that they're really stopping. What are they stopping?
No, nothing. There's nothing where you have a positive. There's nothing positive in the first 120 minutes of football in the NFL. First 8 quarters of the season, there's nothing positive on defense.
Nothing positive because they can't stop the run. I mean, they got gashed the first game. They got gashed the second game. Plus, there's no pass rush. Where's the pass rush at? They got 1 sack, and they go, we got 1 sack. I mean, the guy's not under any pressure. He's back there patting the ball. Look how he was patting the ball last night. This really is concerning, man. I tell you, it's really
I want to bring some stats up to you here about Hurts since Buffalo of last year. He's 2-7 since last year. Listen to these numbers here. 178 completions, 279 attempts for 63-8 completion, 1872. Now listen to this. 9 TDs, 8 interceptions. Rushing, 70 attempts, 318 yards, 4.5 yards a carry, 5 TDs, 5 fumbles. In the last games in that time frame from Buffalo, he has 14 combined touchdowns and 11 total turnovers. Is he now in the position where in the last 18 ball games, he's got 24 turnovers? This is not getting better. This is now, like you and me know, Gary, that's a trend.
Yeah, that is a trend. And, you see the uncertainty, times when he drops, he's got that uncertainty. And, of course, like I said, we can't put everything on AJ missing. We can't put everything on there. You got to have things and plays you can run that you feel confident about. And I got to say, this is a kind of it definitely was a disappointing game, and I'm trying to find something good about it. I can't find anything good. I mean, this is just you losing to an inferior team, a team that was trying to lose. I mean, Atlanta's not a good team. Come on, that's not a good football team.
They got holes everywhere.
But the defense really, even as bad as the offense was, the defense. I mean, come on, who the way they let them go down the field on that last drive, you're going like, man, now is that winning football? I mean, you don't see the quarterback. He might as well be out there with a red jersey on, like practice.
Hey,
I mean, really,
Harry, they got Atlanta. I mean, they got now New Orleans and Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave, who have put up over 90 points in 2 games. And get this, here's a stat about New Orleans. They've had 14 drives this year so far. They've scored on every one of them. And I'll tell you what, that's a team I think people thought we were going to see a year ago.
Yeah.
Well, it's arrived this year. And it doesn't matter if you're Carolina or Dallas. They're waxing teams right now. And you thought Bijan Robinson was good?
I know.
Alvin Kamara had 4 TDs this last game against Dallas, and he wasn't touched.
Yeah, I know. They made Dallas look like like they were scrubs. And I thought, after that first week, I thought Dallas had a good defense. They made the Dallas defense look like some high school team that you're scrimmaging. I mean, that was bad. I mean, I hope they got an answer for this, but they definitely. Who knows? Hopefully, maybe this is the answer. They know they could get humiliated. They better show up ready to play, and you just got to get guys playing better on that defensive front. That's not pro football, man. That is just not going to get it done. Where you just let guys run at full speed through your defense. They did it the first game, and now they did it the second game, where you got a guy taking a handoff. He's running full speed right up the gut of your defense.
Gary, how about this one here, too, that, I couldn't believe what I heard Aikman say this last night, and it was confirmed this morning that it looks like A.J. Brown is going to be out multiple weeks now, and that he's going to miss this New Orleans game, potentially the Bucs game. Now, the way the Bucs are 2-0, they went up to Detroit and won that game up there. They look better. You want to hear something since December 3rd of last year? The Buccaneers are 10-2 since last year, and a win over the Eagles in the playoff game. I think it's 10-3 that they are since December 6th of a year ago. And you got this New Orleans team that's as hot as a fire iron here. I mean, no A.J. Brown going into this game. The way that defense is playing, you could potentially go into the bye 1-3.
They got to buckle up those helmets, and that offensive line, they got to lean on them and say, hey, look, we need you guys to take over this game, because I don't know what they're going to do on the defensive side, because they got to find some answers. But offensively, they need them. They're going to need to run the football, control the game, take the ball away from New Orleans, and just eat up the clock and things, because till the defense starts playing better, man. I mean, how are they going to – you look at the way that the Falcons, were able to do against them. I mean, can they stop this New Orleans team, the defense we have?
No way.
And they got to find some answers. I don't,
Hey, I want to show you
it's going to be a challenge.
I want to show you something else here, and I've been goofing around here with this. That's what you and I know as a line of scrimmage. Maybe somebody should show this to Cam Jurgens, that he understands what a line of scrimmage is, not going down the field, because 9 penalties in the ball game too.
Yeah.
And some of those penalties were drive-killing penalties with a legal man down the field. That's some of the stuff that Jalen was talking about with the little things. And here, this is being reported by Jeff McClain. I didn't realize this, but Jalen Carter didn't start the game. You know why? Because he missed a team practice, or he was late for it over the weekend, and he was late. And so Vic didn't start him last night because of a disciplinary issue of him missing a team meeting or a team practice at the beginning of it. So they benched him for the opening series. I mean, some people will go, that's little stuff. Well, that's attention to detail. This is a league that you have to be attention to detail.
Right. And he's one of your best players. So, you got to have your captains, the leaders of the team, sit him down and talk to him. That they need him. Come on, he's got to grow up, and he got to grow up right now, because they need him to be a dominant player. Look how much they need him on that defense. Because right now, it doesn't look like, that's not NFL football. The way that defense is playing and getting having somebody run the ball against you like that. I mean, we're talking about some other things, but my goodness, that's a fundamental thing, is being able to get off blocks and make tackles. And I don't know how many defensive players over there do you see really doing a good job of that, getting off the block, because there's going to be somebody responsible for blocking you on every play. You got to get off the block and make the tackle. That is the game. Now, if you can't do that well, then you're not a good defensive player. So I'm looking at those guys. How many guys over there do you see getting off blocks and making a tackle?
There's not one player on that team that could play in Kansas City right now. They don't have one player on that team that could play on a contender that's playing good enough football where you would slug him in and say, here, you can play here. Not one guy. Even Slay getting torched. What killed me at the end of that play there with Slay was that he was watching the quarterback and not watching his keys. Gary, what the one thing that you and I are told by great coaches is this: don't ever watch the ball. The ball will take you away from the play. Watch your keys. It'll take you to the ball.
That's right.
And there he was peeking in the backfield.
Well, he got sloppy. He
got behind him.
He got sloppy there. That's fundamentally unsound. And that's when you're going to get tricked. And sure as day, he got tricked. He's looking in the backfield rather than looking at the guy he's got to cover. Especially whoever comes outside, because he's sitting outside. He's going to take the guy coming outside. So that was really that was tough to watch, man. That really was tough to watch, to see this team, because they got to find some answers, and I'm wondering where they're going to go to find them.
No, absolutely. Last one here for you. Something interesting in the press conference, and I think this is the dynamic that you and I talked about that we don't like. So Nick Sirianni was asked again the press conference after the game. He goes, "Hey, who's the guy calling the plays?" And he goes, "Hey, you want to bring that up again? Kellen's calling the plays." Now, he was handling the timeouts and the time they're going at the end of the game and going into the half. You're looking at two guys that are not on the same page, because how are you not talking to your quarterback, Musmeyer, and Jalen Hurts if you're Nick going, listen, let's get into field goal position. Don't take those big chunk plays down the field. We've got a kicker that's kicked from 61 yards. All we need is 13 yards to take a shot with a high percentage play on a field goal. Also down there in that 3rd and 3. Don't you have a conversation about that?
That's
about
right.
Talking about it there?
Yeah.
Aren't you and the coordinator on the same page? Isn't that the head coach's responsibility?
That's right.
To be communicating with all those guys, the quarterback. You know, it almost seems that he's been taken so far out of the mix that he's almost like afraid in game to have those conversations. Because
that's a good point.
Didn't that look confusing to you?
It did. I mean, you need to sit down and I mean, they need to stand there and talk to each other and make sure that, especially you look like you're headed to this situation. So they should start the conversation. This is what we're thinking of doing. Or he goes over there and he's talking to the coach and tell him, hey, look, this is what I'm thinking. What are you thinking? And you got to be communicating, and obviously that things didn't work out. I mean, if you're going to decide to go for that play, now I could see there are teams that would go ahead and say, okay, we believe in these two guys that we're going to run this play. We believe we're going to get this touchdown and this game is going to be over. And it was there for the taking. I mean, but you had him, he kind of took his eyes off the ball and the ball's on the ground. And then you can see basically where obviously they're not on the same page. And obviously, this team has got some problems, boy. Really.
How about this, Gary? What gave that away to me was I'm watching Cincinnati and Kansas City, and I'm watching Patrick Mahomes get that Buckner guy in position to kick a game-winning field goal at the end of the game. Yeah. And it reminded me of Brady when he beat the Rams, when Madden saying, "What is he doing? What is he doing?" And all he was doing was trying to get the best field goal kicker and the NFL's all-time leading scorer in a position to have a high percentage shot at kicking a field goal. And there lies the difference in a Hail Mary pass versus a high percentage opportunity at winning a game.
Yeah.
There's a difference, in my opinion, in football IQ.
Yeah.
I call that, it doesn't have to be talent, Gary. It's football IQ of where you are on the field at moments like that, I still think he's got a long way, because Jake Elliott's one of the best kickers in the game. If that's me, I'm giving him a shot at 57 yards to kick that field goal at home.
That's right. Yeah, they definitely got greedy there on that last play. I mean, because he's throwing it out there, and what is it? You're looking for a 20, 25-yard gain?
It was a 35-yard down the field pass.
And really, as good as Devontae is, Devontae's not outrunning anybody.
No.
I mean, so, and the safety sitting over there, they got the safety sitting over there. I might have, tried to get the ball to Goddard on, get me 6, 7, 10 yards to Goddard or something, because he's going to be single covered. But that's the kind of thing where clearly that throw, that's why I say he kind of had probably made up his mind when he came out of huddle. He's going to Devontae on that throw, and you got it up there in the air. They're looking at him. They know that's probably where you're going, and I think you got to think about, is there somewhere else you can go on a shorter throw, something that is, even if you get it to Devontae on a shorter throw, but you're trying to go for a situation where you want to make him a comfortable field goal rather than, look, he's supposed to be good. We got to take care of the football. Now, that's the thing. They got to be playing smarter football going forward. I mean, they really got to play smarter. But the biggest problem that I see on this team is defensively, that defensive front. If they don't get it together, man, you got a major problem on this team. And I thought they were better than that defensively.
I did too, man. I just, I look at all the issues that they have on that team.
Because see, if you can't stop the run like that,
it's over.
Then that sets up everything else, and then you can't rush the passer either. They can't stop the run, and they can't rush the passer.
Gary, I want to sneak this last one in on you. Dallas Goedert. Dude, where is this guy?
I know.
He's $15 million a year, and you're throwing 6 passes for 23 yards to Britton Covey. Those 23 yards are meaningless. They're meaningless throws that are not going to fool Raheem Morris. You're not fooling a guy who's won a Super Bowl as a coordinator. You're not fooling him. He
Yeah.
doesn't. He's not buying Britton
Yeah.
Covey. Goddard, I would.
That's right.
How come Goddard in the last year and a half has not been part of this offense?
I know he's not the kind of guy to make any noise. And of course, when AJ's healthy and everything, he knows that most of the time he's not one of the top targets. But I think in a game like that, before the game, he should have went to them and told them, "Look, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
I can help this team." Or he's talking to Jalen and letting him know, look, because as I talked about, like a 10-yard gain, some of those gains in there would have put them in a situation where they could have put more points on the board. But going into the game, they got to be thinking totally different. See, and this is where he plays into it too, which is if AJ's not there, then you got to say, okay, we got to be thinking more Dallas. We're going to get Dallas involved in this game. They got to be going into the game thinking that way. And then again, going back to that easy 3 they had, we don't have AJ in this game. We don't think we're going to score 40 points. We need to take these 3. So you're thinking differently. But see, clearly, even though AJ wasn't in the game, they didn't make an adjustment and say, AJ's not playing. AJ's not out here. We don't have the same offense we have when he's here. They don't have the same offense. So they got to be thinking differently. So you would have took the 3 points. Come on. Who do you think you are? Oh, we don't need the 3. We're going to get down. No. And then in the red zone, you think you're so confident of your passing game, you're going to get it in there without your best receiver. Come on. They're not the same team without him,
Hey, Gary, how about this too? That Dotson, 25 pass routes, 1 catch. I mean, hey, you gave
I don't know that.
You gave a 3rd rounder up for him.
Yeah, I know. But, going in there, see, Jalen's got to be confident in him, see. That's something that I don't know.
So he's not confident in anybody else but AJ?
No, I think he's confident in some of the other guys, but I know, like with Dotson, though, I don't know if he's confident in him. I don't know. But clearly they didn't get the job done. That's the bottom line.
No doubt, man.
That was very frustrating. But the thing is, that defensive front, man, I don't know, man. Golly. How could they be that bad?
Hey, man, they were getting blown up by tight ends on the perimeter. They couldn't set the edge to save their life.
Yep.
And the 2 tackles. I knew Atlanta's O-line was a top 5 unit, but I didn't realize that they would dominate the Philadelphia Eagle front 7 the way they did. They dominated them. They knocked them off the ball, Gary. And they never got pressure. 2 things that you're looking at to have a win if you're an offensive line. That's the run the ball down their throat for 150 some odd yards and have a game-winning drive at the end on the road with no timeouts. Your offensive line won that game. Absolutely. Gary, I appreciate it. Should be a hell week in Philadelphia this week. Boy, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of asses on the line going into that New Orleans game. I'll tell you that, man. Hey, there's some people's seats that are awful hot right now.
Man, and you got New Orleans. The way
Hottest
they've
team in the league.
Man.
Hey, and another NFC team that's fighting out for, but that now they're in the conversation where teams are looking at this going like this with New Orleans. Hey, could they win home field advantage because they play in the NFC South? I mean,
I know.
Could they win 12, 13 ball games this year?
Wow.
Holy cow.
Has this thing turned upside down immediately, with like Dallas getting beat like that, the Eagles getting beaten.
Niners got beat. Right.
Hey, how about this?
Who would have thought this? Right now, after week 2, you got the Vikings, the Bucks, and the Saints looking better than the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Niners.
Woo!
What an NFL.
And really think about some of these injuries, man. Look at the injuries the Niners have got.
Yep, Debo Samuel,
that's right.
Chris McCaffrey.
They got problems. So the Eagles aren't the only ones with problems, but man, they got problems. Both of these teams got problems, boy.
I'll tell you that. Gary, I appreciate it. Catch you next week. Thank you so much, my friend.
All right, have a good one.
The great Gary Cobb from Fox 29 covering the Philadelphia Eagles, former Eagle himself. We appreciate it very much. Don't forget, Angelo Cataldi will join us at 5:30 Eastern. Can't wait for that. Where are we on the like list, my friend? You guys have been absolutely sensational today, too. I mean, I appreciate it. And listen, I know some of you have been in here sending me, hey, Sills, you were right. Guys, this is about having a good football team to cover. Okay, 344. Guys, let's see if we can get to 400. Angelo Cataldi will be with us in a couple minutes. Angelo picked this team to win 5 games. 5 games. Xander picked it to win 20 games. I'm kidding. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Xander's the ultimate optimist with his team. He's not surrendering yet. I don't blame him. I don't blame him. But last night, a game like that makes it hard not to sit there and adjust yourself. Not today, I ain't. Hit the like button. Keep it here. Angelo Cataldi, bottom of the hour. Keep it here, National Football Show.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFC selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Score and save at Southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid.
as long as you face the fear.
And keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 80 years. Independence Blue Cross.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing, the second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs, and then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Big Sills National Football Show. Angelo Cataldi will be with us at the bottom of the hour. You want me to show you what a coach is? Let me give you a skinny on a coach. What coach in the National Football League right now is 46-19-0, has a 700 win percentage, has an NFC championship, 2 NFC championship appearances, and his team's currently 2-0? Do you know who that is? Guys have an idea who that is? He's 46-19, 700 win percentage, NFC title, 2 NFC championship game appearances, and his team's 2-0. Who is that coach? Who's that coach? Twiz and Bizon, Jim Harbaugh. You know what he did to coach Justin Herbert? Well, let's get him acclimated to our offense. Do you know he has more rushing yards? Right now, the Chargers have more rushing yards than they have passing yards. Do you know they're one of the top, if not the top, rushing attack in the league? Once he gets his quarterback comfortable in the system that he's running. They run the ball in Los Angeles. What? You just paid a quarterback $50+ million. Jim Harbaugh's going in there and redeveloping him and reprogramming Justin Herbert. Now, Herbert may miss this week against Pittsburgh because of an issue, that he has an injury issue, but he's reprogramming him. Forrest Hill goes like this. Herbert's thrown for 130 and 144 yards in 2 games. You know why? They haven't needed him. They haven't needed him. Coaching. Situational play calling. That's right. Okay? Get this. Do you think the Chargers pay a guy $50, almost $60 million a year to run the ball? No. You know what Harbaugh says? We're going to run the ball here. It would be best for the quarterback in his future. We got to win games here. This is not about putting stats up. It's about winning ball games. We're going to do what's best in the best interest of the team. That's a guy who's in control of his own nest. Jim Harbaugh runs his own nest. We're not throwing a ball around here like they have Phillip Rivers and Justin Herbert's first couple of years. We're going to do it my way. My way is the winning way. Okay? Yale goes, who are the wideouts? I don't have any idea. They got rid of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and they're better. Why? No primary targets. That's the way you develop a quarterback. A running attack? Hey, you think there's any coincidence that that's how Russell Wilson was developed in Seattle with Pete Carroll? They ran the ball with Marshawn Lynch, and they had Percy Harvin and dudes like that playing wide receiver. Quarterbacks make the team better, not receivers making the quarterbacks better. Do you know how that is such a black eye on Jalen Hurts last night? That you can't win a game and you can't carry your team if your star wideout goes down. Who are you, Dak? Are you Dak? You sure look like it. You sure, by the way, A.J. Brown exposes Devontae Smith. That's not a 1-1. He's a 1B for sure. And with A.J. on the field, he is a 1B. That guy, unless you have a superstar quarterback, you're not a 1A. No way. No way. Zaner goes, AJ exposes Jalen Hurts. What the fuck have I been telling you for 3 years? I've been telling you that. He's not who you think he is. He is a good football player, Jalen Hurts. He doesn't have, like a lot of quarterbacks, including Josh Allen, football IQ in championship moments. Hero ball when you don't need it. Dude, you just can't have a jump ball at the end of foot. Dude, what do you think is the most important part of a football game when you're battling a game to try to get a win? versus an opponent that you got to play 60 minutes. Minute 18 to the game or the last 3 minutes of a ball game that determine the outcome of it. Every critical play you make, you got to be focused every single series and play. I think that guy's mind drifts sometimes. I'm talking Jalen Hurts. 3 and out, 3 and out. Turnover. Run to your right. How many freaking times do I have to watch Jalen Hurts run right? You're so predictable. Here's what I saw last night with Hurts. Run right, throw to Devontae. Run right, throw to Devontae. Run right, throw to Devontae. And then bullshit passes to Britton Covey. Why do it? You think they frightened Raheem Morris at all? They were laughing at those plays. You think Covey's going to beat us? Absolutely not. Britton Covey. You gotta be kidding me. What's he doing on the field? Oh, you needed him because you don't have a very deep wide receiver room. Come on, man. Come on. Okay? Come on. Hit the like button. I appreciate you guys. By the way, see, we're having a little internet here. Please stay with us here. Angelo Cataldi will be with us. That'll be at the bottom of the hour here. Let me read some of your guys, and I'll get back into resetting here. Seals, the game was lost due to horrible play calling. There was horrible play calling in the game. We have vet coordinators calling the worst play schemes for what? To lose the damn game at Lincoln in the opener. Yeah, that was terrible. Raheem looked like 2015 Washington. Raheem Morris did a great job, in my opinion, in that football game, scheming up the Philadelphia Eagles. I think he did a hell of a job here. No question. Truth is, the Eagles just suck. Sorry, it's true. Again, the takeaways in the ball game last night. Minute 34 left in the game. I started this out by saying I blame Howie Roseman. He's the guy that built that defense. You can blame Vic all you want on scheme. Who put the players to fill that scheme? You knew who you hired. You knew who you hired. Why are you surprised? He's going to play 2 high safety. And he's going to play 10 yards, 15 yards off the ball. What were you expecting? Pressure? The one time he brought it, Gardner Johnson got crushed on a TD pass. What were you expecting? You know what's funny? You know why this is not overreaction Monday on this program, unlike other shows? Can I tell you why? I'm not surprised. You are. Am I right, Xander? There's the difference between me and you. Not you, Xander, but this is the difference between me and you. I'm not surprised. I've been telling you since January. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Hurts is going to have an MVP season. I'm like, who told you that? Because you got a new guy calling plays? That guy sucked last night at times. Hurts without AJ looked like 2013. I'll take that back because of the 85 yards rushing. He looked like 22 Hurts. He looked like 22 Hurts. That's the Jalen you're going to win a lot of games with. The Jalen throwing the ball. He's not capable. He has the same problems that he had in 21 that he has now. And it's not gotten better. You can't say it has. Let's do this too. It's the Atlanta Falcons. We're not talking about the 49ers here. Or the Lions. We're talking about the 49ers. Or we're talking about the Falcons, I mean. The Atlanta Falcons. I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves here and go, well, Atlanta's a good team. Great team? So a good team came out and beat you and put the wood to you at the end of that ball game. Get this. Look at what D says. All quarterbacks need weapons. But if you pay a guy that much, he needs to be able to win games by himself when called to. D, how about this? You spent $200 million on your huddle. You got a $10 million running back, a $15 million tight end, $25 million wide receiver. Albeit your $35 million wide receiver's out. You got a top flight O-line. You have no excuses to lose a game like that last night. Nobody in the NFL, even with AJ out, has that kind of talent in their huddle. Nobody. And you lose like that because of football IQ. Football IQ lost that game. And predictability. Here's what I saw once again with Hurts. Athletic. Here, I'll give you the fairest assessment I can of him last night. Dual threat was in action and it was activated. Absolutely. No question. When he plays like that, he's a tough-ass cover. He is a tough cover. Okay? Xander says, I think Hurts has gotten worse as a passer, actually. He's gone backwards. Yeah, because they're asking him to do more in the passing game. Why? Why are you asking him to do more? He's not capable. He never has been. He creates passing lanes and open receivers with his wheels, not his pocket presence. Still overthrowing. Progression reading's a problem. Football IQ in the passing game is not at a high octane. He's not who you think he is. I've been saying that for 4 years. I said people are going to catch up with him, and they have. By the way, Angelo Cataldi will join us at 4:30. Okay? He's a dual threat guy. Dual threat. And last night, the play calling and the decision making. This is where John McMullen and I'm going to get Angelo on. He may disagree with me, but this is where I completely disagree. And Tom Brady is the guy that taught me this. You know why? Is this a fair comment? Xander, right? Is this a fair comment? Brady took the sure thing in games. Check downs, field goals, special teams, not chunk plays. He took the high percentage plays, didn't he? Mahomes is now taking high percentage plays. Why? There's no Tyreek Hill in the building. You see, here's the difference. Jalen Hurts is not going to be a better quarterback without Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. Josh Allen's 2-0, no turnovers, without Stephon Diggs. Many of you in here thought he'd be a turnover machine. It's Hurts that's the turnover machine. He's the turnover machine. 18, 19 ball games, he got 24 turnovers. I don't know what else to say. That's perfectly said. I love this analogy. Brady takes the layups. Jalen doesn't. It's frustrating. Take the fucking layups. Absolutely. That's crazy as dead on. The layup was running the ball with 3rd and 3. 3rd and 3 was the layup. And it's 2 for 1. Kill the clock. Take a time off it. and you get your points. And you go up 21-15. That's the layup. At the end of the game. Instead of a chunk 35-yard pass that you haven't been successful all game, 20-plus yards, what does he do? You have the best field goal kicker like Adam Vinatieri and Buckner in Kansas City. Boy, if Kansas City in that Cincinnati game didn't show you how to win a game when you're not playing your best ball, right there was exactly the difference, just in mindset. I'm not saying Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, but the mindset of the coach and the player were on the same page. Get in field goal position. Give Buckner a shot at a 50 whatever it was yarder to win the game against Cincinnati. I'm watching time expire as that football goes right down to dead center. And I said, that's how you win a game. That's how you win when you're not playing your best ball and your quarterback had 2 picks and should have had a 3rd pick for a pick 6. And he's not playing great. And you win a ball game like that. That's how you win ball games. Situational play calling. The football, I think it's got a lot to do with the coordinator and the head coach not on the same page. People are going like this, and John McMullen most notably. I like John's takes. It's not a rip. It's just a difference of opinion. Remember that. This is not hating on John. It's just a difference of opinion. John's like, Barkley's got to make that play. No shit. But I'm doing what That's Crazy says. I'm taking a layup in that moment. When my offense and I don't have A.J. Brown, and after I passed up a field goal earlier, I'm going to give a football team a chance to I'm going to give the football team a chance to go down the field on me when I haven't been able to get pressure or stop the run. Boy, that's a pretty tough ask for my football team. Get this. This is what this guy says. Jalen made plays when it mattered the most. No, he didn't. Saquon dropped the pass, changed the whole dynamic of the game for real, Sills. It was the defensive vastly underperformed. Dude, if you think Jalen Hurts and that effort last night he had is going to win you a Super Bowl, you're fucking high. That is not good Super Bowl championship football when you're throwing to one dude. Once again, you're not utilizing Goddard. You're not utilizing anybody else on that football team because you don't have anybody else. You got Barkley. Sure, Barkley, I agree. Your job is to win, not to put up giant numbers. And at the end of the ball game, that was on him. Not putting his field goal kicker in a position to have a shot at a higher percentage play. What's a higher percentage play to you, in your opinion? Jake Elliott kicking a 51-yarder or Jalen Hurts throwing a Hail Mary 40 yards down the field? What do you think is a higher percentage play? At home. At home. At home. Dude, Raheem Morris, I texted him this morning. Said, congratulations. You were patient. He said, it's one thing I've had to learn to do. You know me, when I was in Tampa, I wasn't patient. Had to be patient. And I asked him the question, what led you? He goes, when they didn't get that first down or touchdown, and they had to settle for the field goal, I was confident we were going to win. Because Vic was going to play back, because I know Vic, and all them passes underneath. You know what Cousins said on the sidelines? Cousins goes like this, we're going to get down that field in 5 plays. And they did. They knew that they were going to surrender 20-20. And it was going to come down to red zone offense winning the game. That's what happened. Okay? I mean, they knew they were going to get down there because it wasn't the crazy plays that the Falcons were making. It was the crazy defense scheme that they were in. You got your corners 15 yards off the ball. And by the way, and then you had a colossal disaster. You know, this is not really being covered enough. Slay's cover on Drake London was atrocious. That was an atrocious play. They didn't challenge him in week 1. The Falcons were going to challenge him, and they challenged him in the critical moment in the game, and they got him. He bid on it. He bid on it. They had the right defense called. He got sucked in. Drake got behind him, and it was over. He had no way of catching up with him. Remember, he's not a press man cover corner. He's a zone cover. Why are you biting on anything? You know why? Because Slay was trying to jump the route. He was trying to cheat and jump the route. That's why he said to London, nice route. He bit on the fake, got behind him, over. That's what happened. And that's on Slay. 100%. It was the right defense called. Like when they're watching film, Slay's got to stand up and own that. He's got to stand up and own that. Now, let me, before I bring Angelo on, I don't know how Angelo is going to respond on the 3rd and 3. But before I do, I want to set it up for him like I set it up for Gary Cobb. I want to show you the disconnect between the head coach and the coordinator. Right here. The game was not going in a position where you were scoring a ton of points. You had already surrendered a field goal. Your quarterback had lost A.J. Brown and was predictable. 7 catches for Devontae. That stupid stuff that Britton Covey, 6 catches for 4 yards apiece. Those were dumb. You think Raheem Morris was worried about that? He wasn't. So what happens? What is the one cardinal rule you can't have when you're going for a score at the end of a ball game? You know what that is? Don't stop the clock when the team doesn't have a timeout. You can't do that. It's the cardinal sin, especially when you haven't gotten pressure and you couldn't stop the run. Sam Darnold's completing passes, and he's 2-0 in Minnesota. Kirk Cousins is clearly going to. So what happens? Throw the pass. And you're going to go like this. Well, Saquon Barkley, he should catch that. No shit. You know what Brady would do? Take the sure thing in the layup. Run the ball. You take 30 seconds off the clock. Then guess what you do? You had a timeout left. Line up. Atlanta can't stop the clock. You line up at 4th down. The guy has to start it because why? It was a run. You would have taken 60 seconds off that clock at the end of the game and made that charge down on that game-winning drive even easier. But you know what that was? That was a miscommunication between the coach and the coordinator because you know why? They're not on the same page. And then at the end of the game, what would Brady do? Throwing a 35-yard chunk play or getting one of the best field goal kickers in position to kick a field goal? Are your coaches not talking to the quarterback about this? Elliott needed 14 yards for a true shot at winning the game. He's made a 61-yarder. What's up? What did Brady do against the Rams? Man, he kept going like this. Hey, what is he doing? What is he doing? Won a Super Bowl doing that. Cincinnati last week, Kansas City. You want to watch a game? You want to know how to win a game? Quarterback has 3 turnovers, 2 turnovers, really 3. They won a ball game. That's football IQ. I blame the coaches and the situational play calling, and most notably, the head coach, because he's in charge of what to do with 2 minutes and 2 minutes at the end. You get the book here in the Bible. I don't know what Angelo's going to say. But then you have the guy at the press conference going, I didn't call that. He did. What? Are you guys not on the same island together? Or are you guys on a different boat or something? This guy can't be Italian. He's got to be a Frenchman. There's not a chance. He's a Northern Italian or he's got to be somebody because that guy can't be Italian because we're in it together, me and Angelo. Here it is, baby. Let's bring him up here.
As my grandfather would have said, he's a stunad.
He's a stunad. That's holy cow.
But I'm not on board with you. And I got to tell you why.
Okay.
And you're right. I mean, everything you said is very logical. I don't think it's the story. I think the story is that the defense had to make a play, 70 yards, $1.50 left on the clock, no timeouts. Do you realize, Dan, that if they had played the clock down, there's still a damn good chance with a minute to go that Kirk Cousins would have brought him down and scored anyway? Drew Lock last year in Seattle, backup quarterback, 92 yards. The defense has to make a freaking play. And here's the thing. Here's how I know that I'm right about that. Because I got an absolute deluge of emails today for people saying, the minute the ball bounced off Barkley's fingers, they all said, we lost. The other team had 70 yards to go. Less if you pooched it. There's a lot of ways you could have played that and even eaten some of that clock away. No, they kicked it in. Here's 70 yards. We're going to stop you. No, you're not. We've seen this. You blew 4 games in the final minute. 4 games in the final minute. That defense did it. That defense is no better this year than it was last year. You just took Bradbury out because he got hurt. You put Mitchell in. He got burned twice. Big plays, big chunks, not there. And then big play slack. No play slack. He gets burned on a corner route. And that's the game. No, Dan, I'm not saying it was brilliant, and I am blaming the coach for a lot of it. But the defense has to be good enough to stop that drive, or you're not going anywhere anyway.
No
That's
question.
the bottom line.
How about this? This is why I started out my first thing here, and I start at the top here with Howie Roseman. I'm going to tell you why. Well, you knew the scheme that Vic Fangio runs, too high safety. You know that. Well, when you decide to get trash can tight end or linebackers, and you bust on the 30th pick at Nolan Smith, who was horrific.
Awful.
And then that Bryce Huff, what a liability he was on the field. I mean, I could not believe that he could not set the edge. They had no rush, no pressure. And the most disappointing thing, Angelo, was the 2 tackles getting gashed. 13th pick and the 9th pick. They couldn't stop the run. They couldn't develop pressure. This is on Howie putting the talent on that roster for Vic. I mean, hey, it's one thing for you and me to draw a scheme up and go, here's what I want you to do. It's another thing if we're going to blame Barkley for not executing that play.
Yeah.
Don't you have to blame the players and also the people that put those players in that scheme?
Yes.
Because, again,
100%.
that was a talent issue last night on defense.
The 2 big tackles have been a horrendous disappointment through 2 games. Huff has been worse than that. You know, he took 32 snaps, Dan, and didn't make a single play. Did nothing. 0. Other than getting squalded whenever they had to run. They ran right over him, right? I'll say this. Barkley made 1 play. He stuffed that run on 4th down. That was a great play, right? The rest of them, who do you trust to make a play in a final drive of the game? Who? Is there anyone there?
No, there's nobody on defense that makes nobody.
One guy, all right, 10 years ago, Brandon Gray. All right.
Yeah.
He could make a sack. Last year, maybe Hassan Reddick.
Or Fletcher.
Or Fletcher Cox. There's no one there now. You didn't replenish it. You have some guys that are too old, some guys that are too young, guys that are not developing into big-time talent. That defense, I'm telling you, Dan, you're going to talk about that defense after almost every game this season because it's bad, and there's no way to fix it. Vic Fangio, love him or hate him, he has already been has been dealt a hand that he can't win with.
No, he
can't win with that group of players. They're really bad. Maddox hasn't gotten his big injury yet. That'll come any day now. Then Dean will go down because he can't get through a month without getting hurt. And then they'll be on their second level of guys. No, this team, I'm back to 5 wins again. I never moved from
Nope,
it.
you didn't.
But when I saw what I saw, and just the way it all comes down to when you're a fan, how confident do you feel in a moment? And I'm telling you, the moment in that game was after they kicked the field goal to go up 6, and you were giving the ball to Kirk Cousins with no timeouts and 70 yards to get. And I'll bet you more than half the people at the link said, we're screwed. That tells you how bad your defense is. And that it happened exactly. There was nothing about that surprised me. Nothing about it that surprised me. What Joe Buck said today, he had never seen any meltdown quite like that in his 31 years of broadcasting. And I went, well, you missed last season because we had 3 of them. It's and Sirianni is just, when somebody asked him who called the 3rd and 3 play, he accused the reporter of trying to stir something up.
I heard that, and I heard that.
I'm asking you a question. You're the freaking head coach. Who called the play? How do you feel about it? Do you talk to him? Is there any communication between you guys? Once again, what exactly are you doing, Nick? We can't tell.
Oh, I know what he does. He runs down the sidelines and gives headbutts to Gardner Johnson. I mean, I'll say this to you too. How about this? Were you shocked though that the offense was so vanilla without AJ when you have Barkley, Goddard? Where's Goddard? You pay him $15 million, Angelo. I mean, where is he? Dotson, you had 25 pass routes with him, 1 catch. I mean, Devontae, I know they're going to go to him, but outside of that, there wasn't. I can't believe that offense just looked so predictable and not good with one guy being off that team. Is that guy really that important that he really moves the needle on that offense for them to be a Super Bowl contender?
I know when I'm watching, Dan, and it's 3rd and 5 or 6 or 8 or 12, I'm looking for number 11. I think he's the guy. He is a great player. And Devontae proved he was good. But see, I'm not pinning this so much on the offense because to me, Hurts had a hell of a game. Hurts played great. Hurts ran the way he ran 2 years ago.
It was 22.
That was the one guy they really could not contain. And he went to it as often as he needed to. I thought he made great decisions. You're right about the last pass. That was a ridiculous play call. And it was begging to be intercepted.
Where does Nick come in, though, Angelo, and say, wait a minute, we're not doing that chunk play. We're coming in here. Do you think that disconnect between the coordinator and the quarterback and everyone else in that coaching staff, where's your communication with everybody? Wait a minute, we're not doing that. Let's get Jake Elliott in a position to kick a field goal here and at least have a high percentage chance of winning at home. I mean, you passed on 3 points earlier. You knew you were not scoring points. You had AJ that wasn't in the game here. Why would you make a chunk throw like that when you know it's a low percentage opportunity for him to complete that? I mean, it just looked like situational play calling. Again, he may not be calling the plays, Angelo, but he was calling the situation, and I think he failed in a lot of places last night. And I'm talking Sirianni.
All right, first of all, you've got to take the field goal in the first quarter.
Take the field goal with no A.J. Brown?
What the hell are you doing? And Aikman's head is exploding. And he's going, wow, analytics and all this stuff. And believe me, that's what decided, not Sirianni. You understand? In the corner of the ESPN screen, they had their own analytics saying, well, the analytics kind of slightly favors going for it. Screw that. I watched football for 60 years. Kick the field goal. What are you, stupid? All right, that's number one. But I don't think, this is my theory on those play calls at the end there. I don't think Sirianni has the authority to overrule Kellen Moore. I think if he waved off the 3rd and 3 pass, or he waved off the chunk play.
Well, then what's your role?
They didn't bring Kellen Moore in to be overruled by a guy who acknowledged 3 years ago he's a bad play caller and handed it to Shane Steichen. You really think all of a sudden?
No, I don't. But Angelo, here's where 23, the first sign of adversity pops up, and you and I have been saying, is he going to get in the way here of this, or is he going to have some kind of head coaching authority to make a clear decision that's his? You're really giving the last part of the game. Think about how crazy this sounds, Angelo. The head football coach of the Philadelphia Eagles is putting the faith of the entire team in a position coach. I'm like, well, what's your freaking role?
Yeah.
You have to have a role in that moment.
Kellen Moore would not have taken the job if he didn't have a guarantee
Boy.
he had authority over the play calls. He wouldn't have done it. And furthermore, you are now lobbying for Sirianni. Are you familiar with his work as a play caller?
No, I'm not. No.
You don't want him to have that authority. He doesn't know what he's doing. I don't care what the.
But it's the setup that I'm bitching at. It's the setup.
He doesn't know how to coach an NFL team.
Agreed.
So they found a way to stick him on the sideline to high-five his players after they make a play and otherwise do nothing. The offense is run by Moore, the defense by Fangio, special teams by Michael Clay, and all the strategy is determined by analytics, which is led by Jeff Lurie, the owner's son, Julian. There's nothing left for him to do but to make an ass of himself at the news conferences before and after every game, which, by the way, he did again today.
He surely did. Angelo, now it's being reported that there's going to be multiple weeks that A.J. Brown will be out.
Yeah.
Take a look at what we have coming up here. You got a red-hot Saints team with Kamara getting 4 TDs. You want to hear something about the Saints? 14 drives, 14 scores. The Bucs go up to Detroit, and they win that game up in Detroit. You know, you've got now the Bucs playing better. By the way, the Bucs since December 6th of last year, December 3rd of last year, they're 10-3 with a win over the Eagles in the playoffs. They're not playing poor football. And you've got this red-hot Saints team. Can you imagine if you go into the bye, you're 1-3? I mean, wow.
You're going into the bye 1-3. I'll tell you that right now. You're not winning either of those two games. But I put out an all-points bulletin today for anyone in the Philadelphia area who has the COVID virus, because I'll come to your house so you can breathe on me, so I don't have to take the trip to New Orleans this weekend, because I am taking 170 hardcore Eagle fans to Bourbon Street.
I love you.
And then we're being led into the dome to watch the Eagles get drawn and quartered.
Hey, by the way, if anybody has botulism, Angelo wants you to breathe on him. So he doesn't go to New Orleans.
I'll take anything. I'll take an infected hemorrhoid. I'm not fussy. This trip is going to be a disaster. I know it is. And the last time I did one of these was when we went to LA and Wentz blew out his knee and they won the game. They ended up winning the Super Bowl, but we didn't know that then.
Like the Malloy. You're like the Malloy. You're like the Malloy.
The Malloy, I didn't even get there yet, Dan. But I know what's coming. Derek Carr's looking at that film going, oh, I wish we could play today. They're going to eat him alive. There's no way the Eagles can stop the juggernaut that is that New Orleans offense right now. Oh, man, they're going to get – this is going to be ugly.
Man,
ugly.
You better give me some Powerball numbers, because I think you're looking more right than I think you know here, man, because, Angelo, this doesn't get better. It gets worse, because this is like a follow-up to what happened in 23. They haven't addressed it because the guy's still in the building.
Exactly. What you saw yesterday was 23. It was the exact same thing. And you knew it, you felt it, and then it happened exactly the way you did. And nobody could do a damn thing about it. Nobody could. So I'm looking at them going, all right, defensively, are they good against the run? No. They're not good against the run. Are they good against the pass? No. They're not good there. Are they getting turnovers? Hell no. What are they doing? So every time the other team's on offense, you're in trouble, automatically in trouble. And I don't think the game Sunday is going to be close like it was last night, because it's not a home game, and other teams are going to plan a little better for Hurts than the Falcons did. and nobody is stopping New Orleans.
Okay.
Nobody.
I'm
They're
asking you
gonna
this.
it's going to be ugly around here next week.
Do you think that Sirianni is a worse coach than Chip Kelly?
Oh God, yes. The only debate I have right now is Sirianni versus Rich Kotite.
Rich Kotite won a couple 11-win seasons.
Listen to me. I talk to all these guys. When you talk to them every week, you develop a real sense for who knows what he's talking about and who doesn't. And even Kotite had more knowledge than this guy did. This guy, it's like you went out and you said, all right, we got to get a guy. We got to cast for this position of head coach. Who can we get who's young and kind of exciting on the sideline? And then we'll do whatever the hell we tell him to. That's who they got here. This guy is Fugazi. You understand? He's not damn. This guy is bad. Keep showing me his record. I don't give a damn. He stinks. Shane Steichen left. He stinks. This guy is bad.
All right. I got two last ones.
Bad coach.
I got two last ones here for you, Angelo. What's the Yachtsman thinking right now?
The what?
The Yachtsman.
Oh, right now, he didn't sleep great last night, but it could have been. It's possible that the fancy food in the box upset him. I don't know. But when he was watching that last drive, this is the thing about having an awful defense like this. He knows it too. He's sitting there going, "Oh no, we're not going to blow this one like we did last year." And then they did. When you sense it and then it happens, that's worse. So today there were meetings, lots of meetings. And I can tell you right now, they're all looking at each other now going, we should have gotten rid of Sirianni. They're already saying it. We should have gotten rid of Sirianni.
First sign of danger. First sign of danger. They're in that room.
Well, it's not ever them.
No, I got it.
Who could it be? Who you want to blame? You want to blame Hurts? He did everything he could, right? Howie's not going to take responsibility for a very flawed defense, right? Let's blame this guy. We'll get rid of him at the end of the year and find another yes man.
Wow, Angelo. So you're hanging on your 5 wins.
I'm it may be too many. I've got emails today saying,
wow,
when did you become such an optimist? I only see 3 wins.
Wait a minute. Now, I get called a professional antagonizer, but I think I think that I'm more grasshopper and you're more the Sunseed, because I think I've learned this from you, because I get called the professional antagonizer, bud. After that loss last night, when they lost that game and Drake London caught that in the back of the end zone, I went, it's too late. I'm going to call Angelo in the morning. I got to get the voice of reason on me here.
I live in this city, and I love when the Eagles win. It's the best city in the world to be in that week, right? But when that last play went for the touchdown, even before the interception, I laughed. All I could do was laugh. Like, the wheels have come off, and they don't know it yet.
I started
They're running into a wall, and they don't see it. That defense is the whole story. It's bad. And the coach that is behind all of it, he's bad. And you can't win with a bad defense and a bad coach. It's going to be a rotten year.
I posted a line of his. He looked over at one of his coaches and he goes, I know what the F I'm doing.
Yeah.
I posted it on my Twitter page and I'm going like, really? I'm really not saying it. Angelo, boy, I'll tell you what. How's the book doing? Because it has to be doing
great.
It has to be
at
doing
AngeloCataldi.com. I'll even put on there, Nick Sirianni sucks. I'll sign it right on there for you. No extra charge.
He's giving you a freebie. Angelo, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
Anytime, Danny.
You got it. The great Angelo Cataldi. I laughed too. I did. When Drake London caught that in the back of the end zone, I laughed. I won't lie. I laughed too. I did. I did. I laughed. I got to take a time out here. Do me a favor. Hit the like button. We'll wrap this miserable day up. By the way, where are we on the like list here? You guys have been great. Moving forward, what do we do? What do you do? Shit, I've got top 10. I still got more things to get to. And I could do another 2 hours. Where are we right now on the like list? 5 is too many. That's what Angelo said he thinks. 390. Guys, I need 10 more for 400. Let's see if we can get to 400 by the end of the program. Keep it here, National Football Show.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFC selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Score and save at Southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid.
as long as you face the fear.
And keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 80 years. Independence Blue Cross.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
EAGLES. Eagles.
So my daughter just said to me, she's been watching the show. My daughter never watches the show. You think the Eagles can tank for Arch Manning? That's her new favorite college guy. I said, he's not really the starter there yet. Quinn Ewers is. She's like, do you see him going in, filling in? And I go, I did it. He looks pretty good. She goes, you guys, the Eagles should get Quinn Ewers, or not Quinn Ewers, but Arch Manning. And I'm like, so you want them to blow out Jalen Hurts? He goes, well, he's a good player, but is he going to win a Super? Well, he got the one, hun. She's like, yeah, but Arch Manning looks better. I was like, I don't know, hun. Arch Manning. Xander goes, Dan Sileo's cooking. Okay? And I was like, okay. Sills, why was Queen not an option before Huff? We begged them to draft Peyton Willis and also Edgerrin Cooper. Philly 4x4. We also wanted Edgerrin Cooper. Okay? And they wanted nothing to do with that. They don't believe in linebackers. They don't believe in defense. Hey, as far as I'm concerned, they don't really believe in defense in Philadelphia. Wait a minute. Let me say that again. In a city that had Chuck Bednarik, Bill Berge, Jerome Brown, Reggie White, Brian Dawkins, Eric Allen, Seth Joyner, Fletcher Cox. You don't believe in defense? I can name greater defensive football players in your history than I can offensive players. I mean, your greatest players in your history of your franchise, Reggie White and Bednarik. I mean, Brian Dawkins. Your greatest players, defensive players. The greatest players are deep players. And Howie doesn't believe in defense in Philadelphia. He's turned you into a woke defense. You know, we're kind of good. We don't have to be really great. You know, we could be 26th, and we're all right with it. We don't have to pay a lot of money for it. How in the world does the fan base of Philadelphia accept that style of 25 yards off the football in your safeties, 15 with your corners, and no investment on defense whatsoever or caring? 314 yards in rushing offense the last 2 weeks. Okay? I mean, Buddy, Jerome, Reggie, all rolling over in their graves, and Bednarik. You know what's funny? I knew every single one of those guys, Charlie. Buddy Ryan, Jerome Brown, Reggie White, and Chuck Bednarik. Knew them all. Some personal friends, including Bednarik. Wow. Kelly says, my uncle, oh my God, what a great player. Byron Evans played next to Seth and played with your guy Jerome then as well. He says the same thing all the time. He goes, don't believe in defense anymore. Hey, Kelly, awesome. Byron Evans can freaking play. Thank you very much for the super chat, dude. Byron Evans can freaking play. He's a good football player, man. Kudos to you, man. Good bloodlines. All right. Guys, where'd we end up when it came to the like list? You were sensational today. We'll do more. I got so much stuff still to get into. We appreciate you guys so much, man. 409. Hey, maybe we can clean this up tomorrow and move on to New Orleans. Kelly, thank you guys very much. Thank you guys. Xander, Big Joe, absolutely great stuff. By the way, John McMullen does a great job covering our football team with Xander. Make sure you check him out in the morning on Birds 365. Till tomorrow, 2 to 6 Eastern.